This episode of Getting Tabled is brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. You can find them at valhallahobby.com.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts, Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yank,
I hope you are all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 99 of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
Hello, folks. No, I haven't moved. I've just moved
Yes,
my
you have.
bedroom around.
Wait, so you haven't moved in 2 weeks. You're in the exact same spot.
Yes.
No, because I would have been over there 2 weeks ago. It was more people on Patreon know, but the general audience that are watching this won't know and might have a new house, but it's not.
For the other guy, that's Major Socks.
He's
Yeah.
the main man. He's the one that keeps our chaos under control.
Try to. Not always successful, but I try to. And then there's George with his little furry friend sitting right next to him on the
No, that's the mean one. That's not my friend. That's the mean one.
That's as close as he gets to a real friend.
That's right.
He is a Marine, so he's used to friends treating him that way.
That's true.
I can't argue with that logic. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. Actually, it's been 4 weeks since we've had Socks.
True.
Yes.
Yeah, because he seems to think he's better than everybody else.
Family just like to
What?
pop into town when it's nice, when it's freezing cold up in Utah, and come down to the nice weather of Florida. So I don't know.
I have access passes to Disney World and Lego World.
Oh, you poor thing. How can you possibly survive?
I don't know because we're going again on Tuesday.
Oh my god, let's do this before we kick him.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
And we're starting by looking at one of these companies that I've kind of fallen in love with over the last couple of years. Black Site Studios is a company that we first know from Don't Look Back. Just because George seems to have this confused look on his face.
No, that's my normal face.
True. So, they have a new game that's out on pre-order at the moment called Hametsu. And they are doing their own crowdfunding. This is something that they always do. Black Site Studios is a small company that does not use Kickstarter. I know, this is really confusing. They have a very strong supporter base, which is nice. So, Hametsu is a cooperative game. This is being written by Doug Condell, which is one of their workers. It feels very Monster Hunter-ish. Also kind of Sekiro. Monster Hunter is a video game for those that don't know. Sekiro is another video game for those that don't know. It's very much feudal Japan. It's fantasy feudal Japan, though. Where basically the Oni are taking over and they are trying to destroy the town, and your heroes are trying to defend the town. There's giant monsters, giant bosses. I love everything. I've been following this for a couple of reasons. Like, they've actually had a show that they've been doing quite regularly on their YouTube channel, talking about the development of the game. And as someone that's quite literally in the middle of that right now, I found that series quite fascinating. It's kind of nice to see what other people are dealing with and what they're finding difficult, and knowing that it's not just me, if that makes sense. There's a couple of different tiers to this. So this is a social crowdfunding thing, but it's not a Kickstarter. Like, you are genuinely actually pre-ordering a product here. This is not you're hopefully going to get something like the other ones, because it's already past that. So there's 3 different tiers. The first tier is the physical rulebook. You get a free mini, and you get a free measuring gauge, and it's a Japanese blade measuring gauge, which is awesome. It's just as awesome as the one that they did for Don't Look Back. In Tier 2, it is all of that, plus you get all of your Oni and your Hero minis as well. And then in Tier 3, it's all of that, plus a whole heap of really awesome looking terrain.
Yeah, I was scrolling down and looking at the terrain. I really like some of that terrain they've built. It's all pre-painted too, according to what at least the JoJo is.
Yes. The digital bundle, which is not. Oh, so I didn't talk about the prices. So Tier 1 was $60. Tier 2 is $150, and Tier 3 is $400. Digital bundle is $95, so you get a PDF version of the rulebook, STLs for all of the 9 core class heroes, and STLs for all 6 core boss miniatures. You get STLs for all of the lesser, regular Oni, and the Oni captains, and the shamans, etc., etc. Plus there's a whole heap of unlocks and stuff that are being unlocked as we go through. So this is where it is their own thing. It is a proper pre-order, but they're treating it like a social crowdfunding thing comes into account. So you have unlocks and stuff as you would expect with this sort of thing, but it's all done in-house. Like, you are getting a decent discount, but this is all done in-house. They're not having to give out money to Kickstarter. They're not having to give out money to anybody apart from those that have actually worked on the project. And they're not having to go to Kickstarter, which is something as a business they are really trying to avoid doing. They have acknowledged that it may be something they have to do at some point, because there is... The benefit of Kickstarter is that you do, in theory, get a bit of a push social media-wise because of how Kickstarter is perceived. But we have a whole heap of stuff unlocked already. Like, I love the sumo. Like, there's some alternate sculpts, which is quite nice. We've already unlocked the resin Oni miniatures. We've unlocked some cardboard tokens, which haven't been designed yet. I love the idea of the modular caves. We've got more alts. We've got more terrain options. So some of these are things that you'll have to purchase. Some of these are additions to the rulebook. Some of these are additions to certain tiers or digitals and so on and so forth. I quite like the snow mat, as much as the snow mat is kind of just white with a little bit of accents, but I do like that. Especially for a Japanese type game, because like they do get a heavy snowfall.
Can we talk about how awesome the castle is?
Oh, that castle is amazing. Yes, let's scroll down. And let's get a very nice close picture of that castle. Because not only is it a really nice set piece, not only is it pre-painted,
you can play
but it breaks down so you can play inside of it. Yeah.
Like, so I'm gonna tell this about Black Site Studios right now. That is the one thing I love that they do, and they do it so well. Is their buildings are not just a building that sits there. Their building has gameplay area inside the building.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, they're not exclusively the only company that does that. There are others that do, but they are doing it really, really nicely.
All of their stuff does it, though. It's not just like 10% or 20%. All of their, like these other companies, 10%, they'll do the building thing like this, whatever. No, Black Site Studio, all of it. And that's what I love is all of their stuff. They take that time to design it like that.
They have a really good set of designers too. It's just amazing.
So correct me if I'm wrong here, Bruce, given the fact that, you got all that vertical space inside, could you almost in theory do like a Bushido game just inside that castle?
Almost. It's on a 2 foot by 2 foot board, so it is a little bit small.
But you got the vertical.
But you got the vertical. It would make for a very interesting game. I think if it was me, I'd want to start at bottom and top and meet in the middle, maybe. And just like you just design. You'd have to design. You'd have to design a scenario around it, I think, where because there's 4 levels. So normally it's you have 3 different control zones. Maybe you put them on different
Count
levels.
6.
Because you got a basement, and then you got 4 mid-tier, and then you got the top level. So there's 6 levels.
So we start at the top and the bottom. First level has one of the control zones. 5th level has one of the control zones. 3rd level and 4th level both have control zones. Therefore, it's even. Like everybody can get to the same ones. Getting past people is going to be quite difficult with control zones and so forth. But I really like that idea. I think you could have a lot of fun with that.
It's just kind of, it's $120, and then it's like you have this like, it's just.
I actually think that's an idea that I'd love to see done in a tournament. Like you'd have to put a lot of work to get that, like to make that work. Like it's not just let's just do this and it'll work. Like you'll have to change some things, but nothing in the core rules. It's just you'd have to change how the mission works.
Yeah, I'm just a sucker for this kind of terrain. Like this terrain is like on par with like Wild West terrain for me. Like I have no legitimate use or need for it. I just love the way it looks more than anything else out there.
I am going to say this: the Torre Gate down the bottom. Personally, I think that's the nicest looking Torre Gate I've seen, and I own one that I really like by TT Combat. I haven't built it yet, but I do own it. But I think that might be the best I've seen so far. Torre Gates are kind of like they're one of those things that everybody has at this point because it's such a staple of tabletop gaming.
Iconic, yeah. The Zen Gardens look pretty cool because you can see the sand
Yeah.
right in the some of the garden areas.
The garden
koi
bundle.
pond. Yeah.
I was gonna say at the bottom of the page for the Torre Gate, they've got like a couple of the buildings and terrains like all set up together. Like those walls, those walls look good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, those walls are $33 US.
It's really good value. And hell, like if you're not really into the feudal Japan type thing, those stone walls are pretty much universal.
Yep.
Like if you want to buy something out of this, but you don't want walls that are only going to work for your Japanese games, those stone walls could be used with everything. I have to agree with Socks. I really do like the garden bundle. The thing I like about it specifically is you really wouldn't have to do much to make it look right. Because I mean, like the sand and so like the actual sand is not included, obviously. But you could actually make like a proper Zen garden really, really easily with that. Oh no, it is. It's done with corrugated cardboard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really clever.
So all you'd have to do is just put in some like little plants that you wanted to or whatnot, but otherwise it's some shading a little bit.
That's insanely clever.
Or you get super creative and get your own corrugated cardboard. Like you get the piece, and you start cutting and rotating pieces to make it look like it's been actually like
done in
different patterns.
yeah.
That would be cool.
Did you see the look on Sox's face when I said that, Bruce?
No.
it lit up like.
So I'm really excited for Himetsu. I will be backing this. I haven't backed this yet, but that's just simply because I've been dealing with this stuff, which I will talk more about in hobby time. I will, at minimum, be buying the digital bundle. I want to buy the digital bundle and the tier 1 bundle. I can't afford more than that, quite frankly. But I might be stuck with just the digital bundle. It's just going to... The problem with buying from Blacklight Studios from an Australian level is they still don't have...
A local retail.
A local
distribution.
They don't really have a distribution. They had one that was lined up that was going to launch this year, and the company that they were going to go through has ceased trading. So that kind of took out one of their major... That was going to be one of the big things that they were excited to launch alongside this, and then through absolutely no fault of their own, like, it's not their company, obviously, it's not something that they could have controlled, but... So, shipping internationally from the United States, especially from Texas, is not cheap. Anybody that lives a fair distance from the US will know, buying from the US internationally is not a cheap thing to do. It's very difficult country to work with, especially if it's weighty product. Like, it's just a fact of life. It's not just a matter of, well, Australia is so far away. No, it's a fairly universal thing. Like, buying in the UK from the US is quite expensive as well. It's just because, especially with like shipping the way that it is, it might be close to the way it used to be, but it's certainly not there at the moment. And even back when it used to be, it was already expensive. So
I just ordered something from, I can't remember what country. The total was like $44, and that included shipping. About half of it was shipping through FedEx from Europe to the United States. So
yeah. So I'm 100% buying the digital bundle. I definitely want the hardcover book. To the point where I'm probably going to pay the $45 in postage to get it. Because I need this book, quite frankly.
Bruce, I don't know. I don't know where. I happen to see it, but there's the MDF terrain bundle. It is the mill, the garden, the watchtower, the castle foundation, and the castle, all for the low price of $269.99.
Where's that?
Second row on the far right.
Second row, far right. Oh yeah. Yep.
So
No.
again,
MDF terrain bundle 396 is the one I'm saying. Oh, I'm looking at Australian dollars. What's the tier prices for you, George? Go back up the top and look at the tiers that we were looking at earlier.
I don't see. Oh wait, here it is. So tier 1 is 60. Tier 2 is 150.
Oh no, I am right.
And
Okay,
tier
never
3
mind.
is 400.
And what are you looking at for the terrain bundle?
$269.99.
See, for me, it shows up as there we go. You have to open it up to see the proper price. Okay, that makes more sense.
Which, and that's another thing too, is, they have like a really good bundle, like the mall and all that, where it's like, it's a huge chunk of money, but look what you get. Like, you have a game board. So
See, for me, when I was looking at it from the main page, it said 396, but then when I open it up, it shows up as $269.99. So there you go. That's why I was confused. This is a game that looks absolutely phenomenal. I am very, very excited to get my hands on this. Like I said, I haven't backed it yet. I will be backing it during this. We still have 16 something? 16 days or something? It's at the top.
16 days, 22 hours, 28 minutes, and 27 seconds.
Yep, they're currently sitting on 37,000 in total sales. They are very much a small company that deserves your attention if you can give it to them. This game looks absolutely phenomenal, so hence why I started the show with it. From here, we are going to talk about Bad Crow games. Socks.
Yeah. So
last time we spoke about Bad Crow games, it was rather sad news.
it was sad
because their CEO had passed away, more or less on the show floor, sort of.
Yeah, I don't know if they've released full details of what happened, and that's by all means their business and on how they want to let people know. But I got an email regarding their Kickstarter, Company Heroes 2, the other day, and they are back on track. They are starting the Pledge Manager in March, and they're finalizing all the 3D images for all the molds as well now. And they have said in the email too that if folks are wanting refunds, you can get 65% of now until Pledge Manager closes, which they've spent a lot of money already on molds and designs and stuff like that, and Kickstarter fees, whatnot. So understand that you're not going to get 100% of your money back. But in the email as well, they to memorialize Chris Gabrielson, they created his own commander card for the game, and so that'll be kind of cool.
That's cool
to see. So I'm excited for the Pledge Manager. I get to open up next month and hopefully get this June summertime frame. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I'm
talking
happy
about
for them.
refunds for any Kickstarter is always a frustrating thing because there's so many companies that have already done the dirty on that. Given the reason behind why this was delayed, I 100% understand why it is the way that it is. I suspect that very few people will have taken them up on that offer, but obviously, if there's going to be a significant delay, it doesn't really matter why it is. You have to at least give people the option, even if it's limited what you can afford to give back. I think that's more than fair, because it's not like we're talking about somebody that's just. Guess who we're talking about next? No, this is beyond fair at this point. And to their credit, as far as I could see when we talked about it the first time, they were the ones that spoke about refunds first. It wasn't the backers that I could see, at least anyway.
Yeah.
It was more, look, we're going to have to delay this, and that might mean people are upset. So if you are upset, here's our offer, which I think was said everything that you needed to know, really.
Yeah. Nope. I'll continue to back this. I've enjoyed the board game first edition as it is. I'm looking forward to second edition. So.
Yeah. George, there's a company that you love to talk about, but you're not going to talk about them this time. I'm going to. So George sent me a screenshot yesterday.
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I got that email. So, yeah, Mythic Games. Okay. So, for those that are not aware, we've spoken about this story a few times at this point. Mythic Games have been struggling for quite a while at this stage. Depending on who you ask, will depend on why they are struggling. They are using new excuses again this time around. We'll get to that. The pandemic has obviously been one of the excuses, and to be fair, that is a legit problem.
I'm not going to fault that excuse. I mean,
no.
Everyone was affected by that. You know,
I'm just giving history. Yeah. The shipping crisis, which again did exist at the time they were talking about it. Again, like you could argue how fair that one was, but it was something that they needed to do. They reluctantly, and I'm going to stick with that wording, reluctantly offered people refunds. They didn't talk about it very much, but they said if people want refunds, they can contact us. There is differing opinions as to whether they've actually gone ahead with that or not. There seems to be some people that have received it and some people that have been ignored, which is a problem. And the ones that got refunds, their games have been offered up for sale on their website. So, here's where we have a problem, because some of these people are claiming that they still haven't received their refund. We have no way of knowing if that's the truth or not. But we haven't even got to the story yet. Let's talk about the story, shall we? So, this email says that they are doing another 50% off sale. Now, the reason that people are asking for refunds is because Mythic Games have been asking for more money. They want more money for shipping. In the case of Siege, we'll get to that in a minute, they're asking for more money on that too. And that's before shipping is paid for. Because things are going to cost more and they're going to have to ask for more money. And yet, for those that have received refunds, those copies of Darkest Dungeon are now being sold for 50% off, which makes it roughly around the Kickstarter price. It's kind of difficult to tell exactly, but it's roughly around the Kickstarter price. And the shipping that they're charging is the normal shipping that they were offering originally. Now, we've spoken about all of that up until this point. So why is this news? Well, A, they're doing it again. They had stopped this offer just after Christmas and gone down to 40% off. It's now back up to 50% off again. They're just trying to clear the stock, basically, is what they say. But here's the problem. So we start with people praising the game that they've received, some of which have actually acknowledged that there's issues with Mythic Games. So I will give Mythic credit that they have not censored the feedback. because they very easily could have. So this one here is, I get why there's some hate towards Mythic, the way that the whole thing has been handled, but now they could have very easily censored that and just started with, I've never owned nor played a game board like this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But they chose not to do that. They have 100% said and shown exactly what was said in the review, which is something I feel that they deserve credit for. But George, what's the new excuse that they've used in this?
Was it something about the Ukraine war?
Yeah, they're blaming the Ukrainian war this time for why they're having issues. George, where's Mythic Games based?
Is it France?
It's France, yes. And how much is the country affected by the war in Ukraine?
Probably not that much.
I mean, they're not Ukraine. I mean, they're certainly not a world away from Ukraine like I am and like you are, but...
Right, but I mean, sure, everyone's, felt some feedback of the Ukraine situation. Ukraine produces a lot of, food exports, resource exports, stuff like that. But I don't see how a company can sit there and say they've gone through a laundry list of reasons and excuses of why things are happening and what has caused them. But then for this new thing, and then the war in Ukraine.
And George, when we spoke about our guide to Kickstarter last fortnight, what was the biggest piece of advice I said people should be wary of? Excuses. There has been a lot of excuses coming out of this company at this point. But
excuses are like, everyone's got one and they all stink. Fill in the word.
Here's the biggest problem I have with this. The title of this email is, this is not a hobby, it's an investment. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand what they're trying to say with this, but nothing has felt more spin in a very long time than that. Because what they're trying to, it's an investment in your time, and it's an investment, that's what they're trying to get to with this. But it's not Bruce, what they're saying.
What do I do? IT, right? I deal with, my email has been blocked. Why is this email going into spam and quarantine? This email looks like the emails I have to release for people because it looks like a phishing attempt of spam.
It does look like it's not, but it does look like that. Yes.
So I mean, for one, why are you constantly trying to force this down our throat? If we're gonna buy the game, we're gonna buy the game. You've already done enough advertising on Facebook. Stay out of my inbox. I've already invested money. Stop trying to make me invest more money because you're not getting more money from me. The desperation that is just seething from this email is just...
Yeah. Look, make no mistake. There's a reason these emails are going out. Now, to be completely honest, George did not receive a copy of this email. I did receive a copy of this email.
I wouldn't be surprised if they've removed my email from any of their mailing lists, given the hate and discontent I've been emailing them on. Hey, I need to pay for my shipping so I can get Wave 2 of Super Fantasy Brawl. I was emailing literally every other day. And I was like, I'm trying to give you money to get my product. Take my money. And it literally took 4 months. I would not be surprised if I'm on I'm not in their... Yeah.
So here's the thing, this is an ongoing story. We have said this a couple of times. Mythic Games are in big trouble. There is a reason why they are pushing this so hard. Every time they have to give somebody a refund, that's money they don't have that they're giving out. They have just sold all of their big IPs, the stuff that they own.
I'm going to stop you real quick on those refunds, Bruce. So they're only allotted a certain amount of money per month to issue for refunds. And I can tell you exactly why. They probably do have money in the bank, and they probably are holding that money aside for these projects. The reason why they're only having limited funds is because, one, everything has costed more, or they've overextended or something, and they're working off of earned interest for the refunds. That's why only so many are done being done per month, and why it's taking so long for backers to get refunds is because they have to wait for the next month of earned interest.
If they're getting them. I am not convinced at this stage that people have been receiving them.
I've read a couple people have gotten them, but these people that have gotten these refunds asked for it back in, I think, April or May of last year.
The reason why I say what I do is because this is another one of those things that is really prevalent in problem Kickstarters, where 2 or 3 people will receive their refunds eventually. And then that's where it stops. Just enough so that there's word out there that it is actually happening. It has happened before. Now, I'm not saying that Mythic are doing this on purpose. I think there is enough evidence to show that Mythic are genuinely in trouble here. And that is literally why I said what I did. Like, Mythic are in big trouble. All of their IPs that they owned, they sold. That they could. Now, obviously, they can't sell Hell yet because it's not finished.
That were in production.
Yes.
So, with the exception of Darkest Dungeon, because they still haven't finished Wave 2 yet.
Yes. Although I don't think Darkest Dungeon is their property either, isn't it? Isn't Darkest Dungeon...
It's licensed.
It's licensed, yeah. So, they are genuinely in trouble. Because no company would sell their own IP if they didn't have to. There's no way of really knowing whether they have the funds for that or not yet. I mean, we know that it's coming, but we don't know if that's been finalised yet. There's really no way of knowing. I suspect that that hasn't been finalised yet and that it's still happening because Mythic is still controlling the groups for that, for those franchises. And we know that they are because you have seen that evidence. So here's the thing.
They should turn this over.
Here's the thing. Every fortnight at this stage, it feels like there's a new controversy coming out of Mythic Games. I am reaching the point where I don't want to talk about this again until there's an actual significant change. Whether that means evidence of them actually turning things around or they're done. I would like to see the first happen. I would like to see Mythic come out of this and actually survive. It's never good to see a company go out, especially given that it's millions of dollars of other people's money that would be lost if they do go out of business. And make no mistake, if Mythic Games go out of business, none of those people will get their money back. They will not be entitled to it because Kickstarter makes that very clear. You can copy and paste that social media post all you like. If a company goes bankrupt, they don't have money to give you. That's not how the world works. Hopefully, the next time we talk about Mythic Games, it's in a really positive light and we're sitting here going, well, we were really critical, but thankfully they managed to pull through. I genuinely hope that's the case. At this stage, I don't think that's the news that we're ultimately going to have. There really doesn't feel like there's much positive coming out of this story at this stage. If we get to a point where... Because, I mean, we will eventually find out what they're asking from their backers. We may cover that, we may not. I'm not making promises. But I would prefer not to at this stage. I feel like we're just talking in circles. And as much as I know that negative news gets a lot of positivity, I don't want to be one of the channels that only ever concentrates on this side of the hobby. And I never have wanted to be that. We only talk about the negative stuff when we really feel like we have to. And that has always been the case with Mythic. But this is just the same story over and over again at this point.
So, while we're angry and upset, let's talk about someone who's always angry and upset then.
Yes! Socks, you know how you're a big fan of the 40k franchise?
Yeah. Nope.
No? Well, you don't know how. Look at this demon, and how could you not be a fan of this? I mean, it's going to sell for like $570 million, but no, I'm exaggerating. Angron, Demon Primarch of Khorne. We have known that this was coming for a while. We've had some teasing images of it, but we now have confirmation that it is coming. I still love this mini. Part of me would love to get this and just de-cornify it. I'm not a huge fan of the Khorne aesthetic. I understand why people are. I've seen so much of Khorne at this stage that I'm just bored of it. I say this, I like the fact that the colours aren't just black and red.
So I'm gonna say this: I would like this mini more, and I would be more excited about this mini because Demon Primarch. It's another 40k Primarch. We've got the three, Slaanesh, Nurgle, and
Khorne.
Khorne now. Yeah. Oh no, not Slaanesh. Tzeentch, Nurgle, and now Khorne.
Who would be
Right.
the Demon Prince of Slaanesh?
I don't know.
He's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, but isn't it Fulgrim? Like the vain, pretty one? Wouldn't he be the?
Yeah.
But anyways,
Well, I'm pretty sure he's dead in canon, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, he is dead in canon. Or no, that's Ferrus Manus. Never mind. I don't know, but I would be more excited
Fulgrim got
about
his
this.
head cut off.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't remember.
but I would be more excited about this if this wasn't like the 30th Bloodthirster mini that
Yeah.
we've had for
That is the
Khorne.
problem.
Because we got like Scad or Scad or whatever, like a named Bloodthirster. Then there's like 3 other Bloodthirsters, and now here's
We only
another
had one 6
Bloodthirster.
months ago.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Bloodthirster is cool, as far as the greater demons go. I mean, it is essentially a Balrog. It is essentially
Yeah.
like the biggest, baddest mother on the field. It looks cool, but that's all we've gotten. Like, you want to do something really cool? Give him another set of arms. Like, make him like more unique than just like a Bloodthirster with a really angry face, because that's all he is.
Making him
What-
Agora would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I can even you could almost do this with this. Slice off the actual wing sections. Leave everything else, including the front claws. And then all you need to if you just need to add some talons or some fingers to make it look like he's got like claw hands or something. That'd work. I would prefer him to have like proper hands and maybe another set of swords. I kind of want to see somebody do that now.
But yeah, it's just it's like Pagani's. Are you guys familiar with Pagani's?
Zonda.
Yeah. Well, Pagani's made 3 models of cars in over like 15 years, and everything's like a little tweak or a change here. That's all this is. It's a tweak or a change from another Bloodthirster.
Yeah.
So,
I really like it, honestly, but I can get why you don't. But in saying that, now that you've put that thought in my head, I really want them to make like a Goro Demon Prince.
yeah, I mean, it's Angron, right? He's the god of melee, right? Give him more arms to melee with, then.
You could convert this so easily. Oh, I really want somebody to do that now.
Right? How about this, Socks? This would make Socks like it. Socks, change this demon right here into like a demon version of General Grievous, but he's still like 20 feet tall. Right? Yeah, see?
I can see that work.
Yeah. Moving on, we have a whole heap of stuff that got revealed last week for the LVO. Las Vegas Open is one of the events where we get all of the teasers. So I'm going to kind of just pick a couple of them because otherwise we're going to be sitting here talking until the cows come home. So I'm going to start with Strike Force Augustus because it's more Space Marines. But we're getting a new dreadnought. That's basically it's a dreadnought with heavy weapons. And have you guys seen the memes that have been coming out for these Space Marines?
Yes. Oh my god, yes.
So there's been a whole heap of memes for these, some of which are turning them into Nerf guns, some of which are turning them into the really stupid looking gun from a from Fifth Element, with like all of another one that was the mask holding like all of the guns. Because basically these are guns where it's multiple barrels and so on and so forth. I actually do like them, honestly, but I can really see why people have been taking this to meme territory because it just makes it so easy.
Well, do you know why it's become such a meme? Because they asked 5-year-olds to design it. Literally, this looks like something a 5-year-old would design.
Yeah, I mean it's very 40k. I mean it's like what's bigger than guns? It's guns with more guns, so that you can gun while you gun. Of the because all of them are silly, but of all of the silly, my favorite is the minigun missile launcher. Because it's a minigun that's also a missile launcher. It's just so dumb I'm going to say in the right way. Because not all dumb is bad. And if you think that 40k has to be serious enough that everything makes sense, I'm sorry, you're playing the wrong game. 40k is designed as a satire. It was always designed as a satire. Hence, orcs believing things work means that they work. It's literally canon.
Because they're red.
Yeah.
So, real quick, before we move on to too much more stuff, do you still have the Angron page opened up?
Yes.
Go back to it, because down at the bottom, there's the greatest character ever made, and it's for Blood Bowl.
Still going. Bryce the Slice Cambule. Okay.
Well, yeah, because they can't call him Bruce Campbell.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh, that's really clever.
This is why I'm here, folks, is because I'm the one that gets most of these obscure references like that to point them out. This is a Blood Bowl mini that is, let's be honest, this is Bruce Campbell after he's died and become a ghost. Because he's got the
really
chainsaw
like
hand.
that.
So that's why I wanted you to jump back to that real quick, because that's too important not to cover.
To be fair, it's not very obvious that that's a chainsaw hand. It looks like it's something he's holding with his arm.
Yeah, it's strapped to his arm.
I can see that now, but it's not very obvious that that's what's going on. It almost looks like a scythe with a chainsaw on it. Yeah, I really like that.
So yes, but we have Bruce Campbell now for Blood Bowl. Anyways, back to where we were going, Bruce.
Yep. Next up, I want to look at the Seraphon, because I think the Seraphon have very, very easily won as far as the reveals is concerned. And I mean, they put everybody else to shame. Some of these models are absolutely phenomenal. The very first one, the Slan, and his little assistant there, I love. They already had a couple of really nice Slans. This is definitely the best one now.
This one definitely looks... Well, to be fair, all those other Slans, those were like... Originally, they were the giant pewter ones that if you threw at someone, you could kill them.
Yeah.
And then they just, let's not make them out of pewter because it doesn't float. We'll make them out of like resin and plastic. This looks great. You can tell that this is...
And this has actually been designed for a plastic mold.
Yeah,
we're not having to deal with fine cast with this one, which is definitely a good thing.
It's fine crap, Bruce, not fine cast. Fine crap.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just calling it what it is. The Raptidon Hunters are really good as well.
Oh god, those look so good.
Yeah, they do look good.
They've kind of they've taken the Aztec aesthetic and they've kind of gone in a new direction with it to make it more their own. It doesn't just feel like a rip-off of Aztec aesthetic anymore, which I really like. I mean, you can still see where it's come from, but I like the fact that they're doing something a little different with it. The shields in particular really stand out as something that feels new. I really, really like this.
The Saurus Warriors, they look more like roided up now too. They look more like a warrior.
Yeah. No, they're really, really gorgeous. By the look on socks, I'm guessing that these might be striking a chord with you as well.
Yeah, they do look pretty cool. I do like like you said, the shields and the artwork and the designs they've done in the shields themselves.
So this is probably, I would say, the first decent release that one of the older armies has received for Age of Sigmar since the Skaven about a year and a half ago, which was also a fairly decently sized release. There's been a lot of them that's kind of been, yep, and then you receive this one new mini because we're just trying to rush through this. This feels like it's the first significant Age of Sigmar release for an older army that we've seen for a while. Also, I just want to say, I love this blue neon one down here in the bottom. He looks awesome.
I was gonna say the high elves.
Yeah, but they weren't an old line that was being refreshed. That was a new line.
The high elves.
The ones with the cow stuff.
Yeah, they're related to the high elves, which was one of the first fantasy armies.
Yeah, that they completely redid as a new army.
That's what I'm. All right, redid is it okay? Yeah,
My point was that I was talking about stuff they haven't redone.
That's fair.
Where they just go, okay, fine, here is your codex, and then maybe we will give you a mini to go with it. Half the time they didn't even do that.
Okay, so in that aspect too, then the Sylvaneth are also like the same as the Seraphim as well.
Yeah, but all of this Sylvaneth stuff is old. The only thing they got was the Beehive Queen thingy.
It's all resculpt stuff.
Is it?
Oh yeah. The Tree Lords, yeah, they're new.
Yeah, I'm misremembering that. Then I thought they came out with the End Times.
No. Well, yeah. Well, no. Yes and no.
Make up your mind, George.
I'm clearly misremembering that.
Well, they were mainly part of the Wood Elves, and now the Savant. It's still the same stuff. It's still Tree Lords and like some of these the Dryads and the Spirits and stuff, but it's now their own separate army. But they're from the Wood Elves, but it's all redone stuff.
Okay.
So,
I stand corrected then.
But this stuff, this looks good. I want to see some of the bigger dinosaurs.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. The last one I want to look at before we move on is Soul Shackle, because it's the new Kill Team box set. So this is the new box set that you're going to pay too much money for if you buy it. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it because it is just the fact with these boxes at this point. This one comes with some Dark Eldar. Sorry, the Drukhari Kabalites. I quite like the Drukhari Kabalites, honestly. They look nice. I don't think they're quite as groundbreakingly nice as the Kroot were, but they look nice.
I love how their armor just leads to the edge highlighting.
Yeah.
Or not leads to like just embraces it so well, like.
And then we've also got the Adeptus Arbites Exaction Squad. I think this is the highlight of the box personally. I kind of feel like the Kabalite, the Drukhari are kind of phoned in. Honestly, it feels phoned in to me. But the Exites, I actually quite like those. I think they're the highlight of the box personally. I think that's the reason why people will buy it. It's a shame that those boxes are priced the way that they are, but I mean, this is Space Marine meets RoboCop. You can't tell me those helmets aren't inspired by RoboCop.
They're Adeptus Sororitas inspired helmets.
But they have the RoboCop visor.
Yeah, Adeptus Sororitas has those helmets too.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be quiet then.
But what does sell it as Space Cops is the actual K9, because it says K9 on the shoulder plate.
It does look, yeah. I like the dog. The dog is cool.
He looks like he will bite the expletive out of you.
Yep. Other stuff that got teased, I'm not going to look at it very closely. Stupid preview thingies. Wrath of the Soulforge King is coming. We've got a new Gnarlwood box, which is Gracil's Aranai, which is like a wood shelf looking box. Blood Hunt looks interesting for the Warcry game, and the Cerebus tank is coming out for Horus Heresy. So there was quite a bit that was teased. But I want to talk about something different, like teasers. So, there was two things that we got shared amongst our little chat group this week. The first one is down the bottom, which is the Horde.
For the Horde. Oh wait, wrong intellectual property.
So, this is a little video teasing something that is coming. They're calling these Arcs of Omen. This particular one talks about the Horde, and then it's very, very vague because it's talking about something that's new. And as it plays through, you get a vision of a card, of a hand reaching out for a sword. It's a very alien-looking sword, but what's it coming out of? A giant horde of rats. Now, George, you've been following 40k for much longer than I have. What is one of the questions that people were asking back in Rogue Trader?
Where are the Space Skaven?
Where are the Space Skaven? Yeah. Now, it is possible this is not hinting towards that, but I'm sorry, how much trouble is Games Workshop in if this is not Space Skaven right now? It's literally one of the oldest demands people have had.
So for the fact that they went through and pulled the stunt of April Fool's Day, hey, check it out, we're bringing back squats. And then the next day, no, really, we're bringing back squats.
Yeah.
For them not to do Space Skaven, that is a crime. Like, we have the Xenos, you got the Votan, the Tau, the Orcs, the Space Elves, you got the Imperium of Mankind with all the Marines and the Custodians and all of that junk, and then you got Chaos. And in Fantasy and in Sigmar, you have the proper Chaos, Nurgle, Slaanesh, Khorne, Tzeentch, and then you have this other weird offshoot of Chaos, which is the freaking Beastmen and their Skaven.
Yep.
Where are the Skaven at? If Orcs exist in 40k, there's no reason for the Skaven to not exist in 40k, because it's the same horrible idea of rats in space.
Now, the reason I'm talking about it this is like most of the community is accepting that is what this is at this stage. There's one or two detractors that try to argue against it because, well, you don't want to be overexcited. They could be looking at something else or so, and trying to, because it talks about Beastmen. Maybe it's just Beastmen. I really, really love the idea of Space Skaven. I will say this. I feel that this is definitely what it's pointing towards, because Games Workshop are not a dense company. They may make some really dense decisions at times, but they're not a dense company. There's no way that they would hint something like this and not realize that that's what people are going to expect. And they would know what's going to happen if they don't deliver on that expectation. So this is definitely pointing towards Space Skaven. If it's not, Games Workshop are in trouble. Well, as much trouble as they can be in.
They're in trouble of bad Games Workshop. That's kind of trouble. Honestly, I would love to see a Xenos faction, or I guess it'd be a Chaos faction of Space Beastmen with Space Rats. I think that would be a really good.
I'm kind of hoping that it's just Xenos. I mean, I wouldn't mind so much if it had ties to Chaos, but I'd like them to be their own thing.
Well,
I'm kind of tired. I'm tired of the Chaos. Let something else exist, like the Tau. Why does it have to be tied?
But if you go off the lore of orcs are orcs, this is this. Skaven are Chaos. They're not one of the four gods of Chaos.
Yeah,
they're not general Chaos. They're very specific, Ratmen Chaos.
But you can get away with that without pushing Chaos.
Well, yeah, and they do that to an extent in Sigmar, but it's that is the root of their power. So I would like to see that.
The downside of this is that there are already a couple of companies out there doing Space Skaven right now. Mantic is the first company that comes to mind, and the Mantic models are phenomenal. There is a couple of others out there as well, but Games Workshop are really going to have to hit this out of the park. Like, they have some stiff competition in this area because they've chosen to come to the party late. So it's going to be interesting to see what they actually do. They're definitely capable of it. Like we've seen it before. But yeah, they're not going to be able to find this one home. So they're not going to be able to find this one in. They're going to have to work on this to make it good. The other one...
I'm just wondering when the Chaos Dwarf Blood Bowl team is going to come out now.
I still don't think I'll ever get it. The other one, this has been something in the canon for quite some time. There are human Tau, and number 6 appears to be hinting towards that. Because the young warrior, when this starts playing, you get an image of a card that is very much a human holding Tau technology. I mean, it might be Eldar, but it's not. That's human. I like the fact that we have an armored horse. That's kind of cool. I still don't know why horses fit into 40k, but sure.
Because horses can still do more than a dirt bike.
True.
Now, especially with an army release of last year with Voton, and it's just like the whole, maybe this is why the Tau got their technology so quick, is because, the Voton were just like, here, weird things, have this technology and have a better life. This could be Voton tech, too.
True. It is true. We do know that there are humans within the Tau that have betrayed the Emperor, because they've seen the lie, or they've seen the light of the greater good, or whatever it is. We do know that exists. That has been confirmed in canon. Not just in memes. Yes, there's memes about this. Has been for over a decade. But we do know that it exists in canon, so it would make sense. I am obviously more excited about Space Gaven, but I like the fact that all of these are pretty much hinting at things that we've kind of wanted to see for a while. Like there was a couple of things about the demon things and great hordes and hulks and da. But those are the two most recent ones, and the ones that really caught my eye. We're getting the first book coming out soon, because the first book is all about Angron, but we've got some more good stuff coming. I'm kind of hoping that we see some of this stuff teased in Kill Team first, like we did with the Voltan. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Socks. Any particular highlights for you out of the workshop stuff? No, not even the space lizard, the lizardmen that are riding dinosaurs.
Socks. If I send you a box of an army of Games Workshop, would you put it together, paint it, and play with it? If you were gifted,
maybe.
There is a challenge that we've been talking about doing for our 4th year anniversary, and it does involve Games Workshop at some point. It doesn't have to be a game, though. But maybe we can talk about that next episode.
So anyways, socks. This stuff is either awesome for you or salt in an open wound.
Let's get to the salt and open wounds later. I just want to talk about what it is first, and yes, then we're going to touch on how we're feeling. So everything is up for pre-order. There's definitely some good and some bad with this. Now, obviously, like we were very excited about this when this first got announced. Because I mean, it's Marvel Crisis Protocol, but it's Star Wars. I mean, what's not to like about that idea? I do initially have one big problem, which is that they had initially said that this was not just Marvel Crisis Protocol, but with Star Wars. But from everything that we've seen so far, that appears to be all this is. Like, the dice are basically it. The measuring gauges almost look identical. It's just the artwork that's kind of changed on them. And the pricing structure is actually probably more than it's arguably more expensive than Marvel was, but that doesn't necessarily surprise me.
Because Star Wars.
Well, it's also coming with more in the boxes too. Is probably
No, Socks is agreeing with me. He's nodding his head in agreement.
Yeah, but you're getting more in these boxes than you were in the Marvel ones, so it's not actually fair to just blame it on Star Wars.
So
Anyway,
my ATS.
that's got nothing to do with the salt that we want to talk about. Let me finish. So we're getting our initial box set. It's the Mandalorians.
$75 for him.
Mandalorians, facing more Mandalorians, but we've got other stuff with them as well. The core set looks really good. $165 or the better part of. If you're in Australia, then you're paying way too much for this, unfortunately. You're paying an extra $65 more than you should be.
I keep having to tell myself that these aren't 28 mil. These are like,
these are 40
like
mil.
this.
Yeah, these are
like
40 mil.
40 mil.
I have to keep telling myself because I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's expensive. These are bigger. I got to keep telling myself that these are bigger.
It's also coming with a lot more terrain as well. You're getting 23 pieces of terrain. Yeah, they're
and it's
like that in a little
Oh
building.
hell, I didn't even see that. Yeah, okay, so maybe that isn't too bad of a deal then.
No,
And
the deal is
terrain
good.
pieces are resin,
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I think. Maybe they're plastic.
They were all plastic in the previous one. I'd be very surprised if this isn't plastic.
Yeah.
No, there's no mention of resin.
Nope, I'm not seeing
No.
it either.
No. Everything that they've done previously is plastic. I don't understand why they would change that at this point because the money's already there. Like, that would be a step backwards for them at this stage. Okay. The other two box sets that are coming out alongside, as far as characters is concerned, we have a General Kenobi, and I love the name of this box so much. It's called Hello There, Squad Pack. I just love that so much. It's just leaning straight into the meme. It's brilliant. We also have the Count Dooku one, which is twice the Pride Squad Pack, which is not quite as fun as Hello There, but I'll give them credit. It's still good. Of all of these, like of those particular two, I think I prefer Count Dooku model-wise. I just think it's more interesting. I don't know about you, Socks. Like, just of Kenobi versus Dooku, do you have any particular preference?
I have to agree with Dooku because the reason being,
I think the models are more interesting personally, but that's just me.
Not just that, but they put the exact same pose as they did for Obi-Wan in Legion. It's the exact same pose.
True. Yeah. I mean, it is
just
his
a bigger
pose,
scale.
but yeah,
It is his typical pose, but it's the exact same pose. As
it kind of looks like they've just made them. I mean, I know it's only a sculpt, but it kind of looks like it's just a bigger version. And yes, you were getting clone troopers, and that's all well and good, but
I'm
clone troopers
don't
excite me.
There's so many Mandalorian armor sets in this game already.
Well, yes,
There's
and
a
that's
lot.
quite deliberate.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm just like, I mean, like that would be the one appeal to me of like, I mean, the Mandalorians, like they're kind of cool. Also, did you know that in Brazil in the movies he's Count Dukan instead of Dooku?
No,
Because Dooku means poo.
that's a good change. That's a good change. Yeah, so I mean, there is some decent stuff coming out for this. But I mean, there's also a couple of terrain packs. We are getting one, which is basically what I predicted we would get. We would get one box that is just what's in the core set, but separately. And then we're getting another one, which is slightly different. You can also buy the dice and the measuring tools separately as well. But let's get into it. Socks, what happened just before this pre-order went up?
So
The Legion stuff.
Yeah. So Atomic Mass Games released new rule set 2.5 edition, and reading through it, I was not just myself. There are a lot of people across the community that are not happy with the rules. Yes, LVO just happened, and AMGs did say that the rules are a living document, so there are probably going to be some changes coming out of LVO, which I hope they fix. Because I'll show you an example on screen, because this is... I've got my ATSTE here, and if I have a mini, say you're shooting me from over here, or I'm shooting you from over here, you can't shoot this mini because this entire tower blocks this mini. You can't see through ground vehicles. You can't see. Their line of sight and cover rules are atrocious. They're probably one of the worst that I've seen in any miniature game. That's been a heartache that a lot of people are having, because you measure from any part of the defender's base, and if it's a sliver behind a building, it gets cover.
To be fair, a lot of games always seem to go through their cover and line of sight rules get really jacked up and skewed at least once or twice.
So first edition was actually pretty good. There was a few mistakes, but not as bad. I mean, so I just watched a video, I can't remember, on YouTube, and that same example with the ATST, if you're shooting over somebody and who's hiding underneath a bridge, you can still shoot him with the ATST because you can measure from his base.
I'm not defending Atomic Mass Games in any way here, but the rule set where you said was good, that was not Atomic Mass Games. That was
Fantasy Flight.
Right, exactly. So now Atomic Mass Games, they own this, and they're like, oh, we're going to do this. We know what we're doing. We can't be at fault. Oh, holy crap. You done jacked it up there, Billy.
George has basically lent into what most of the community is arguing at this point. But I actually have an argument of my own that I had... Well, not argument. I had a debate of my own with one of our local groups recently. And here's my theory. Who's Atomic Mass Games owned by?
Asmodee, the biggest game company in the world.
Who's Fantasy Flight owned by?
Same company.
Who is it that ultimately makes the business decisions for Asmodee Games? Asmodee. Or Asmodee, sorry. Because they're French. Here's my theory. We have this new Star Wars game and we want this to be successful, and we'd like to phase out Legion. So we want you to change the rules to kind of push in that direction.
Although they just released a Kill Team version of the game.
For free.
For a Kill Team. For free.
For free.
It's open beta testing for a Kill Team version of Legion.
So I'm not going to disagree with you completely, Bruce.
Well, I hadn't finished, but okay.
Oh, okay. So yeah, make the rule set suck to get people to go buy Shatterpoint and play that because the rule set's good. And then once sales level off for Shatterpoint, oh hey, look, we learned from our mistake. Here's better rules from Legion. Start playing that again and spending money on that.
So where I was leaning is because, I mean, people have been making this argument in the community like since that rule set came out, right, Socks? That Atomic Mass Games are doing this on purpose so that they can get like that. That has been the argument in the community. If that argument had, if that argument had any merit, then it would be coming from Atomic. It wouldn't be coming from AMG. It would be coming from Asmodee, because Asmodee ultimately are the business makers here. They are ultimately the ones. And when it comes to the other bit of news that we are going to talk about in a second, that was an Asmodee thing as well. But here's the problem. Like, Legion is still selling hotcakes. It would make absolutely no sense to sabotage a successful business model for something that may fall on its rear end. I mean, I doubt it. I doubt that it will, but it may not be successful. It's a risk at this point. Why would you sacrifice something that is genuinely selling hotcakes for a maybe? because there's not a bigger profit margin in there. The profit margin is going to be exactly the same, and it's designed that way. So the argument's crap is basically what I'm trying to argue. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which I know I got a weird look from Socks because he doesn't know what the other thing is, I think. There's an alternate sculpt out there for Padawan Ahsoka. So
Pre-order
this
only.
particular, it's pre-order. Well, it's an early access.
Yes.
So this got huge uproar from the community. Everybody was very upset about this. Some because it's like, why are we getting two Ahsokas already? But even before they talked about why for that, I felt it was kind of obvious as to why. Basically, as Modi came down and said, we want something special to happen for our Hobby First program. Can you please do something exclusively for that? And Atomic Mass Games were like, well, we don't want to do something exclusive because we don't think that's very fair to the rest of the community. We're going to do an early access thing instead. So I'm going to applaud them for that because I think that's a much better way of doing business. And not that I'm saying that they did this because we've said it before, but we have literally made this argument on several occasions about exclusivity being a problem in this business. But here's the other side of that argument. Guess what nobody in most countries has access to? Hobby First.
Yep.
So I've been doing a little bit of digging, and there's no stores in Australia that have access to this. The suppliers literally got told that it's not available to the Australian market by Asmodee. That is what the suppliers got told. Stores are being given the runaround, saying that they have to speak with their... so basically, when it comes to Australia, now, none of this is Atomic Mass Games' fault. I want to make that clear. I'm pointing the finger at Asmodee on this. Because to stores that are asking, they're going, oh, you just need to ask about it with your supplier. And then they're going behind their back and talking to the supplier saying, yes, this isn't available to you. As opposed to being open about it. Now, this is not exclusively an Australian thing. I'm just arguing about it like this way because this happens to us frequently. So this is a bonus mini that you can get for pre-ordering. It does appear to be something that you're just getting access to early, but that's kind of not the point. If you're going to offer something, then you should be offering something, not saying something's going to happen on one hand and then not doing it with the other. There's differing opinions I'm hearing as to whether it's available in the UK or not. It appears to be something that it is available, but
for some stores.
For some, there seems to be seems to be an incentive for certain stores to join this program. I can't find a definitive answer on this, but it appears that to me at least, there must be some sort of financial cost for the store that they have to be able to justify. Like, there are no stores that are saying, well, no, I couldn't do it because it was too expensive. But those that can't do it are just kind of like, yeah, no, we don't have access to it.
I wonder if it's something like like you have to have a certain amount of like product or stock on the shelf, like for Games Workshop in order to be a Games Workshop store.
That's what I suspect is going on here.
Yeah. Okay.
Which means that it's only gonna, which is what means, like, if I'm right, and I may not be, that it's a thing of that you need to have space to be able to stock everything, or you need to, like, Wizard of the Coast do with their Magic stores. They only allow you to be an official store if you sell X amount of product per month, which if you're a small store just doesn't happen because you can't stock everything, or you may not have the turnover if you don't live in an area that has that. And that's fine. That's literally how business works. But if that is what the reason I'm pointing this finger is that if that is what this Hobby Next project is, then Asmodee need to be more open about what this thing is, and don't just blame the stores, which is what they're trying to do, Because they're trying to make it look like it's the store's fault if customers don't have access to it. When it's not, because it's their fault for designing the program the wrong way.
Well, no, it is the store's fault because they're not in the program.
Yeah, but they're not allowed to join the program.
Join the program. Problem solved.
Australia's not even allowed. Probably because they don't want to have to deal with the shipping side of it. But, I mean, they're sending everything else here. It wouldn't actually cost them anything more to send them other product. They're just choosing not to make it available to this country. / New Zealand. I don't know New Zealand for a fact, but usually we get lumped together.
You're not the same country?
No. They had the option of joining us at one point, and that's an invitation. That when Australia was formed, New Zealand was given the offer, and New Zealand chose not to because of the way that Australia treated their First Nation peoples. That is an offer that technically has always been on the table. I don't see New Zealand ever backing down on that stance, because at this point, them joining Australia would be like a downgrade.
Wait, so Australia was just president, and then New Zealand was solitary confinement? Is that how it worked?
No, New Zealand. History time! Whereas the Australian government tried to commit genocide, the New Zealand government literally made a peace treaty with their First Nation people, and they have been together ever since.
Well, to be fair, though, too, some of those...
New Zealand did the one thing no other continental country did.
Well, and a lot of New Zealand's indigenous population, they're kind of scary, so I'd want to make peace with them, too, and stuff.
I'm not saying that they did it out of the kindness of their heart, but... the reason they didn't join Australia is because of how Australia was treating their indigenous, and that's just a fact of life. Because unfortunately, that's the way life was for everybody at that point. Moving on, though, because I think we're talking about that.
Well, I think I've got one question for Socks.
Oh, sorry, yeah, we haven't even got to Socks Salt yet. Socks.
Are you going to do Shatterpoint? Yes or no?
At this point, probably not. Because
I'm in the same boat right now.
It's not just because of this. Since the merger, the takeover, I have not been happy with AMG. They killed an entire line of product that I have sitting on the shelf that I spent thousands and thousands of dollars.
Does your wife know that?
Yes, she does.
Okay.
And with this new rule set, I have. I even told you guys. No, actually,
that's why he's asking the question.
I have lost all interest in painting Legion right now.
But what Socks is talking about is they took over X-Wing, they took over
and the
Armada.
X-Wing community is not happy with the revisions that they have done.
They haven't been for a while, and they took over Legion. The very first thing they did was basically kill Legion. Not Legion, they basically killed Armada. They still haven't officially done that. They're just not talking about the game anymore, which means that it's dead.
After 3 little mini extravaganzas where they do product reviews and painting, and they haven't touched Armada once, other than it's on. We
literally said that if they didn't talk about it last game, the game is dead. And they didn't talk about it, so the game is dead. Can you still buy Armada? You can, can't you?
Core set's $120 here on the side.
Yeah, you can buy the reprints. They're reprinting everything, but they're just not making new stuff.
They're not supporting it. Yeah.
The only thing that they've supported is a little box event, a little store event scenario. That's the only thing they've released in the 3 years since they've took over.
And so then X-Wing, it's never really recovered from that revision. Legion has just gone down that same path now. We will see if it gets... It is probably worth noting, if a game company changes something about a game and you don't like it, you can still play the old version of that game. There are still people to this day that play Rogue Trader, and that game hasn't existed for well over a decade. Blood Bowl didn't exist officially for how long, George? About 7 years?
Something like that.
The literal Blood Bowl community kept that game alive when Games Workshop killed it a long time ago. The only reason we have Blood Bowl now is because of that community.
Technically, there's a Warhammer Fantasy version 8 that's community driven.
9, sorry, but yes.
Is it 9 now? Okay.
No, it was always 9. The 8th was the last previous official edition.
I thought it was 7th was the last official edition.
Was it? Why is it 9th age then? Oh, whatever. I don't care about fantasy.
But yeah. It's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah. My argument was essentially that, look, if at the end of the day, Sox, if they don't fix the problems, there's nothing that says that you and your community can't just choose to play the other version of the game.
Or me and my kids, because we have a whole bunch of stuff already. So, yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just look at it this way. It's just now a really big, expensive board game you have now.
I have 2 of those.
Yeah,
my X-Wing to get into Armada when Armada first came out.
I was really, really hyped for Shatterpoint right up until the point where the pre-order went live. I mean, I don't really care.
They haven't really done any previews of rules or gameplay or anything like that, and now they're
no. They've literally done none. They are not showing any how to play until Adepticon.
Yep.
Don't worry. There's been people that's called them out on that too, because that's a huge red flag for me personally. And I'm not the only one to say that. That's a fairly common opinion. But that I don't really care about the Ahsoka thing. I mean, look, it's a nice mini, but I mean, look, they are offering it later. It's not like it's an exclusive thing where I would genuinely have a problem with it. I mean, I think it sucks the way that Asmodee are choosing to do business, but it doesn't. I mean, it's just something you don't have the option to buy. It's not like you're getting something for free in other places and you're not getting it for free here. So it's not the end of the day. But at the end of the day, it's the price gouge that... I mean, Marvel had a price gouge too. It wasn't as bad as this one. To the point where I'd forgotten about it. I'd 100% forgotten it was a thing. Because it's like a $40, $50 difference. This is a $60 to $70 difference. I mean, it's not a huge... It's borderline on Games Workshop territory, as far as price gouge is concerned. The funny thing about this is that with Marvel, it's usually the smaller boxes where the difference is more noticeable. It's actually more with the core set on this one, which I find rather amusing.
Well,
because now...
You're seeing it on the core set because this is new big shiny. They want people to buy that new big shiny, and they want so that's where they're going to maximize. Once everyone's got the core set, then they're going to switch probably to the side sets. So
yeah. So with the core set, I mean that core set, like even at the $300, it's a really good value set. Honestly, like you're getting a lot in that box.
If I were to do this, I would pick up that core box. Just look at that with all the terrain and the number of miniatures in it. That would be the one I would go with. I wouldn't do Kenobi. I wouldn't do Count Poop. I would do that core box set. I did that just to get you the laugh socks.
I'm not buying anything at this. Like when pre-order went live, I kind of went, oh, I'm not sure I care anymore. I mean, I may pick this up at a later stage, but I'm not pre-ordering it yet. I'm definitely not pre-ordering anything until I see gameplay. Like, that's just not happening. Because that's just a terrible idea. Like, even Kickstarters show you how their game works, in theory. I can pretty much guarantee you that if they're not up there already, measuring gauges for this game will already be available for free online. Like, they'll be all over Thingiverse, pretty much. Because the only issue is that we don't officially know the sizes of all these things. Once the game goes live, I guarantee you'll be able to find free versions of those.
For sure.
That you can 3D print. Hell, you could, once you know what the official sizes are, you could just use the measuring tape. Or, I don't know, use the MCP ones you already own.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't...
Should we talk about some greater good?
let's talk about some greater good. But we've already talked about the greater good. Yes, but this one's made by Cromlech. Cromlech are really well known for some awesome Orc minis. They are releasing a whole new set of stuff, which is currently on sale for 15% off, which I think is just because of the pre-order. So they have a whole heap of alternate Tau stuff, or cast Enclave stuff, starting with a whole heap of drone sets that look absolutely gorgeous.
If I were to do Tau, I would be really considering doing these drones.
I love these drones.
Look so good in my opinion.
The Enclave's Angel Shark, I think, is my favorite thing in the entire set. That giant drone is just awesome. Like, there's nothing about this that isn't amazing. This is all resin, by the way.
So I'm going to
have good resin.
I'm going to date myself here a little bit, right? So all these little drones, right? You know, they kind of remind me of like the little guys from Batteries Not Included. Anyone remember that?
Yes.
Batteries Not Included?
Yes.
Right? Where the guy fixed the little robot, you know, right? Yeah, frickin' Angel Shark is, you know, Big Mama Mothership, you know, one that comes in from space and, you know, wipes out humanity that hurt her little drones.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that idea. The Enclave's Barrage is quite cool as well. I just opened them and closed them. That was dumb. And these are kind of like three-legged walker type looking things.
Yeah, that's really
they're
interesting.
4 legs. Like, this is genuinely, like, it appears to be a drone version of one of the battle suits, as far as I can tell. It looks like a broadside. I don't know the size of this is the only issue I have. But it looks like it's supposed to be a broadside.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, look at the one picture where you can see some of the little drones in the back. If that scale is approximate, then yeah, this is like the small size battle suit size.
I really like this. Like, I really like what they're doing with this. It's really pretty.
I like the emergency drone team.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Those look all sorts of. There's just so much going on with those.
Yeah.
And the thing is, look at the pictures. It's like they literally looks like they've designed it to where it's just like, yeah, you could put some of the bits on, or hear me out, you could put all of the bits on them.
See, alternate models for 40k is genuinely a thing that exists. Like, and there's a lot of it out there if you want to go hunting for it.
Unless you go and play in an actual sanctioned Games Workshop tournament.
Yes, true. But I'm just talking about finding it at this point. The issue that we've come across a couple of times is that there are a few companies out there that just outright try to steal from Games Workshop's aesthetic. I'd really like it when a company goes out of their way to make something of their own that still feels like it belongs. Like, this is 100% their creation. There's nothing Games Workshop about this. But it really feels like it fits into that army. And if you're someone that, like, if you don't like the Crute side of the game, or, like, maybe the suits just don't do it for you, you wish everything was kind of like a drone-ish, this would let you do that. How you implement them is kind of completely irrelevant at that point. Because, I mean, if they feel like they fit, then you just make them whatever it is that you want them to be.
Well, it's like my Emperor of Mankind mini I got, right? There's no Emperor of Mankind. But you know what? When he's all put together, he's about the same size as a Custodes Dreadnought. So guess how he's getting on the field? He's a Custodes Dreadnought.
I really, really like this stuff. I mean, if I was to do it, the emergency team would be my, like, the equivalent of the not the commander, but the small suit. And the Angel Fire would be... Sorry, not the Angel Fire, the Barrage Battle Drone team would be my broadsides, if the sizes are right.
Right.
I really, really like this stuff. It's really pretty.
It's good to see that this company is still going and flourishing. Especially with the recent history of the owner creator passing a
Yeah.
couple years ago. So it's good to see them still doing stuff.
Yeah. Actually, that was very recent. Yeah.
Yeah, it was within the last 2 years.
Last 1 year, I think.
Was it last year?
I think it was last year. I could be wrong.
I think it was 21. But it was still fairly recent. Yeah, the stuff looks great. That angel shark, it makes me giggle.
Yeah, I really like it. All right. I would like to talk about TT Combat.
Who?
Who are they?
It's a very small company. They're someone that we talk about quite regularly. Okay, so this first one, you guys are both going to be looking at the run sheet and having no idea why I've written this the way that I am. All I'm going to do is look you in the face and say, trust me. For people that... Yeah, trust me. So, if you're a wrestling fan, what does everybody want? What does everybody need? And that's all I need to say about this particular mini. Because, yeah, that's exactly who this is supposed to be. And there's no way Louis can tell me otherwise. This is meant to be Al Snow. There was a wrestler in the 90s called Al Snow. And that was at the start of his music. And let me put it this way. He used to walk out into the crowd. Not into the crowd. He used to walk out carrying a foam mannequin head.
Oh, okay. I was like,
what does everybody want? What does everybody need? And he was carrying a foam mannequin head that said head on it. I'm not going to say anything else, but yeah, that's what does everybody want? What does everybody need? Head. Because head is really popular, and it's a really cool thing that I'm holding in my hand.
What I need is the really good boy from the next link.
Yes, I'm going to agree with you on that. So the bodybuilders I really like. Yeah. So we had previews of parts of this. I still love the zombie that is on its phone trying to tell you to wait. Like, I love that. It's just so much fun. But I'm sorry, this graveyard looking thing is amazing. It's got part of a turnbuckle in it.
Yeah, that bodybuilder, like that's very, very good.
But yes, the bestest of the boys. And I like the fact that he actually looks like he's just a dog too. Like, he's not an undead dog. No, it's just a dog with part of them in their mouth. Maybe that's the necromancer. I kind of want that to be the necromancer.
Or maybe he's been trained to fetch the parts when they get torn off and tossed.
Right.
Because he is holding the arm.
Yep, no, that's true. There's also an undead goat man. Who is... Wait, where is he? There he is. Which is just... Like, it's an undead centaur. Wait, centaur?
No, that's a ram.
I'm just trying to think. What's the... satyr? No, they're the half-goat thing. What's the one where, like, they have... Like, where they are, like, they're goat men? What are those ones?
Satyrs, and then the minotaurs.
Oh, I was right.
Men.
Satyrs. I was right. I was doubting myself.
Yeah, but satyrs have a human head, not a goat head.
True.
But yeah.
And then we have what is very clearly the Lich. Which is still all kinds of awesome.
Oh god, the name of the good boy is Good Boy.
Oh, really?
Go look at the cards.
It is too! Oh, that's brilliant. I don't know if this is one of the ones that Lewis worked on before he left or not. I know we're reaching towards the end of the ones that he had been working on, but I don't know if we've gotten past them or not. I think this is still one of his, but I could be wrong. Maybe we will be able to get clarification if we're still working on that or not. There's no way to know from this, but I know that there was still stuff that he had worked on that wasn't out, so I don't know if we've gotten through that stuff or not. I really like these two box sets. I think they look amazing.
The dog actually has a special rule called spare limb that the friendly wrestlers get if they're standing nearby, which I think goes to George's point of gathering body parts.
Yep. Nope, that is true. There is an old saying that comes from an old presidential man. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Well, I've got a better idea. Yep, I've got a better idea. Speak softly and carry a giant cannon into battle. The Ottoman Corsairs are awesome. And he's literally carrying a giant cannon.
While smoking on a pipe.
Yep. That's never a bad idea. I mean, smoke around a cannon.
No.
What could possibly go wrong?
well, no. So, it's probably like his version of like the punk or whatever. You know, it just embers, so you can touch off the fuse. That's probably what he uses his pipe for. He probably flips it, and like
taps it, and the cannon boom.
Yeah, that actually would make sense. And so he's not so much smoking it as he's keeping it ready for when he fires, maybe. I really like this box set. These actually did come out a couple of weeks ago, just we hadn't had a chance to talk about it. It's currently on pre-order until the 10th, which I think is the case for all of them. Yes, it's the case for all of them. I really, really like this stuff. The bodybuilders is easily my highlight, though. I don't know about you guys.
I'm gonna have to go with the bodybuilders just because they've got the good boy.
Yep. Yeah. The good boy is great. What about you, Socks? Do you like the Doberman?
I kind of like the guy holding the cannon. I mean, it just sounds fun to just carry the big, massive naval cannon into the ring.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the fact that it looks like he's flexing, because do you even flex, bro? Do you even lift, bro, I should say, rather? He just looks like he's holding, like, yeah, I'm lifting this. What's the problem? But he's not aiming. He's curling, is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
As he curls it, he changes the trajectory. So, I mean,
That was my point, yes.
Moving on.
Do you two get what I'm quoting in the next one?
Nope.
These guys as policeman.
Oh, okay. Yep, I got it now.
So, there's an old English comedy called Allo Allo, based on World War II. One of the people from Allo Allo was an Englishman that was convinced that his French accent was perfect. And this is how he used to speak. And it's disguised as policeman is literally one of the things that he said. Anyway, this is a French resistance partisan cell for use in 0200 hours. And looking at it, instantly my thought was on Allo Allo, because we have so many characters here that would fit into that world. Like, literally, straight out. There's the old man listening to the radio. There's the old man. There's the young woman that will only say this once. People that are working in cafes and stuff. I mean, look, they're not necessarily directly head of Allo Allo. It's just how I saw them when I saw them. I like this. I really like this. I don't have 0200 hours. I know somebody that does, and I want to play it. Eugene, I want to play 0200 hours at some point, because I think we need to buy the French Resistance so that I can speak in a very bad French accent all day. That would be amazing. Thank you. I really like this stuff. This is really nice. And it's a part of the war that nobody ever really speaks about, unless they want to pretend that the French were
useful,
cowardly surrender monkeys, which is not actually what happened.
Nope.
The idea of French being really weak and cowardly in World War II is a complete work of fiction. They were 100%, like, yes, they obviously did put up the white flag, but it's literally one of the reasons why we won the war. Because they were behind the lines the entire time. Anyway, I really like this. Let's move on, because it's just one box. I really like this, though. Too Thin Coats is back on Kickstarter. So, Duncan Rhodes has been around for a while on his own at this point, and he's doing rather well. We've got another 60 colours coming through from his paint line, which, for all intensive purposes, I mean, I don't think any of us have tried it, but I've not heard anybody at all talk negatively about the line at this point.
Well, so here's my thing. I've not heard anyone talk about it at all.
I definitely have.
Okay. I know it's out there. I know there's some people who are like, ooh, like some.
It's only been out there for a few months at this point. In theory, I know I can buy it locally. I choose not to because I don't go to that store, and I won't say which one it is. But yeah, so this is back on Kickstarter. I hadn't really noticed that there were glaring, obvious missing things in the wave, but I really like some of these colours. Like, there's some really bright colours in this, which is nice.
Yeah, looking at the minis display there, that top right, like there's some colors that are just screaming, "Hey, look at me! Look at me! I'm over here! Look at me!"
Oh yeah, which are called the Brights. There's also some more metallics, because everybody needs more metallics. There's some more washes. The Tempest Blue wash kind of looks like a Jean Blue wash to me, because it's like that grey bluish sort of colour. Most of these seem to be kind of like...
I'm getting into.
They're like duller colours. And they've got some specific glazes, which is interesting. Just adding to the line, pretty much. His line is doing the whole triad thing like a lot of people are. So, if you're invested in the line, this is obviously going to be something that you look at. The second wave is $192 because you will have already missed the early wave at this point if you haven't backed it already. You can still buy the first wave at the same discounted price, or you can buy everything for $360. Like, all intensive purpose, I mean, these are not cheap paints. Like, these are paints as you would expect to be paying for them. I'm not saying that these prices are bad. I'm just saying they're not. I don't think that this is a cheap line. It's a regular paint.
I didn't even notice that until you pointed that out, that like you have the Pressure Pink, then Hot Pink, then Neo Pink. Like, I didn't even like until you pointed that out, didn't even realize that he's, his paint line is, your dark, mid, and highlight, like all in one.
Yeah. If you was to buy them at the Kickstarter price, you're looking at $3.20 a pot, which is like it's a decent deal.
Well, considering that like a similar dropper of like a Vallejo like that's going to be about $5-6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's been daily unlocks, so he's doing stretch goals and so forth. So we've had like a storage box that's going to be coming, which is nice. We're getting some minis that are made available. There's a rust effect paint that's already been unlocked. So there's a light rust, a medium rust. There's a verdigris coming. So on and so forth. And then obviously you've got your obligatory examples, because obviously you need examples. I like the storage rack, actually. I quite like that. It's more of a store thing, but I quite like that.
I guess my question is can you just like, do you have to thin this out a lot to drop into an airbrush, or can you just go into an airbrush and go?
From what I understand, this stuff is very opaque, so yes, you would need to thin it out. I don't know what you would need to thin it to. That's an interesting question, though. Like, at this particular point, he's going to have 120 plus colours. Where does he go next? Does he go airbrush wise? I don't think going the contrast route would be a very smart thing at this point. I think there's already too many players in that space. An airbrush line makes sense, but there's a lot of players in that space too.
Well, I don't know if that's, there's a lot of players. It's just there's just like the good go-tos, and no one else will, half my airbrush stuff. Well, no, not even half of it. Probably 5/6 of it. It's Vallejo.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Because it's the biggest range in the world.
Because it's Vallejo. Like, who
Yeah.
makes better airbrush paint for minis than Vallejo? Not some other crap company out there that's peddling off garbage accessories.
I'll get back to you on that. I still need to finish my review on the. I have the full Army Painter line of airbrush paints, but I haven't. Sorry, no, not the full line. I have a large range of them, but I haven't finished my review on them yet.
Well, an Army Painter's another one of those. It's like,
Yeah,
they've got good stuff too. No, I'm not knocking Army Painter. I'm not.
no. I know that's not what you were saying. Postage wise, you're looking at fairly reasonable rates, honestly. Coming to Australia is about $40. It's $60 if you want to buy both waves. That's fairly reasonable, honestly. I mean, it's not great, but it's fairly reasonable. $29 to the US, $11 to the UK. Obvious reasons. That's where he's located. It's all fairly reasonable, honestly.
Well, as
yeah.
long as Duncan's been in the hobby and doing things with and for the hobby, he knows a thing or two about what we are willing to go after.
Yep. And yes, I mean he's been successful, but at the same time, this is not a guy that has a successful enough business that he can wear these sort of risks either. Looking at the original, this new wave is pretty much right in line with what you would expect from the last one. And this one delivered. I'm just bringing up the comments at the moment. The only questions that seem to be outstanding is when they're going to be on store shelves, which is the big question everybody has had, honestly, because at that point, that's something that's outside of his control, because even with the paints that are on the market right now, you will be in some areas where the paint line you want just isn't available in stores. Army Painter is probably, number 3 as far as popularity is concerned, and they are quite difficult to find in some places. Vallejo's probably the second easiest, Citadel being the first, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd say Citadel, then you've got your Vallejos, and then I've never actually seen Army Painter at retail. The only thing Army Painter I've seen at retail have been brushes, because they make decent cheap brushes.
Yep.
And they're basing material stuff, because who else makes that, and who else is a big enough name to where they're Army Painter.
You've also seen their wet palette from memory, because you owned one of them, unless you Amazon that. Oh, I know you weren't a fan of it, and I'm not suggesting that you should be.
No, I Amazoned it. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
all right, that's it for the news. I mean, I could have spoken about a few other things. I will speak very briefly. I don't have an article about this, but Army Painter are releasing their second version of their speed paint. During the review that I did, I kind of suggested a few things that I wanted to see when it was released. One of which was I wanted the big box to be basically all of the new paints, with maybe just a few of the popular ones from the old one, and that's basically what they've released. I wanted one of the offerings to be, look, you already have this is all of the new stuff, and that's basically what they've done, which is perfect. The new formula, because one of the false information that had been out there for a while was the fact that the old version of the paints reactivated under what, if you went over it with water, it would reactivate again, and and it would mix and come off and stuff. And that is something that people had been saying was a fault with the product. The problem is that it wasn't a fault with the product. It was actually designed to work that way. It's how it was literally how they got it to stop, like the pooling effect that contrast has. Now, people didn't like that, and that's fine, but it wasn't a fault of the product. The new way, they basically had to try and find a way of getting that problem to go away without causing a new problem, and it appears that they have done that. I obviously will be putting that to the test. I didn't have any issues with the reactivation. I mean, it definitely was a thing that you could get happen. But I had no issues with it because I was, careful with my painting, which is something that you need to be doing when you're using a paint style like that. So I will definitely be picking up this new wave. I don't have it ordered at this stage. It will be ordered and I will buy that big box, but it'll be a matter of time at this stage. Let's discuss an Indy.
Indy. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
Victoria Miniatures.
Yep. So we've spoken a couple of times about these guys in the news. The most recent one being these halfling miniatures that we see on screen at the moment, the plastic halfling snipers specifically. But there's quite a few things that these guys do. And I when I spoke about that news article, I did specifically say that I probably should look at these guys at some stage soon. All right. So if you scroll down, you will start getting an idea of the sort of stuff that these guys offer straight away. A lot of this stuff is alternate 40k miniatures. There are some lines in particular that are quite notorious. I want to go... Where's the Van Diemen Land one? Here we go. The Van Diemen World's Devils is the ones that you want to open up first. George, you've seen these people in the real life. Who are these guys?
What were they?
They come from a country that doesn't exist if you ask the Flat Earthers. It's my people, but in 40k. It's a whole world of Australians. For those that are wondering, Van Diemen's Land is the original name of Tasmania. So yes, this is 40k Australian minis. You can get a whole heap of these guys. I love the tiny little shorts here on the female officer. That's just brilliant. You can just buy the slouch hats. You can buy just the heads if you want to add them to existing minis. Or you can buy the whole thing. There's a heavy weapon crew there. There's different conversions that you can buy. There's the shorts legs. Kneeling. Lots and lots of different things that you can buy to make a whole big army. I mean, if you want to do a whole big army, you're going to be having a lot of fun. I love these things.
I was going to say they kind of had a reminiscent look of not the females obviously, but Roosevelt's Rough Riders.
Mm-hmm.
They do have Rough Riders somewhere. Where's the Rough Riders? Rough Rider arms. There we go.
Yeah, but they had the similar style of hat and stuff going too.
Yep.
These are pretty cool. You could do Scottish even.
True, if you painted up tartan and stuff. Very much so. There's
there's a Highland Guard.
Oh, you've gone out. Yes, there is. Okay, yeah, let's open up those.
They got bagpipers.
And a gas mask.
And here we are. Yep. So we've got our kilts here. Now you're going to have to paint the tartan for yourself. There's no easy way around that. And I'm sorry, painting tartan is not going to be easy either. There's certainly a reason why I've never done it, and probably never will. The range on these guys is not quite as large as the Australian ones. The Australian ones is one of the first ones that they had done, so that's why that range is significantly larger. I do love this stuff, though. The stuff that you see as sold out is because their current stock is sold out. They will be recasting it. There's also the Broodlian Beast Guard, which is literally what you think it is. It's a guardsman troop of beasts. Little bit more limited in that particular range, but still very pretty. They've also got desert scorpions. They've got ice warriors. They've got Victorian Guard, which is literally straight something out of 40k that you can't buy anymore. I don't remember what they're called in the Victorian Guard, but anyway. There's a lot of really cool stuff here.
There is.
They also have Spork, which is an orc thing. Orc by Trenchworks. They've got Lucha Orcs. Oh, that's amazing. So yeah, Victorian miniatures have been around for a while. They are, I would argue that they're a staple of the community. Like, they've got a lot of alternate stuff here. Like, you can buy full miniature ranges as well as just conversion stuff for your existing minis. I mean, there's a few companies that do like alternate heads for minis. This is definitely, like, if you're looking for a specific look, this is definitely one of the companies you want to go and have a look at. Scrolling back up, I do want to very quickly have a look through the characters, because this is where you'll get some of your more unique stuff. They have a specific couple of minis here that they're doing for a fundraiser for the Ukraine, which is obviously a thing that's happening right now. One is an STL version if you'd like to print it for yourself. The other one is the actual resin miniature. And they do that for a few things where you can just buy the STL. It's not really the big thing that they do. I quite like Corporal Tucky, that's like tucking into a bucket of KFC. That's kind of amazing. Somewhere here, there is a Monty Python reference. There it is. Because nobody suspects who? The Spanish Inquisition. That's one.
I thought no one expects the Spanish.
That's what I said.
I think you said suspects.
Yeah, maybe I spoke wrong. I quite like Sister Preacher Safina, actually. Sylvia Brando is quite nice, which is totally not a female version of Sly Marbo. Definitely not. But I quite like that mini. That's gorgeous. I like the fact that they've actually designed it so that you can pose it any way you want to.
If you scroll down, there is a Rolly Ruin Seeker epic scale.
I'm guessing this is in the first one?
No.
Oh yeah, sorry, in the character minis.
Was it? No, I didn't say it.
Yeah, he's down a little bit.
Oh yeah, there he is. Oh no, I'm looking at a 28mm version. Is there a small version as well?
Yeah, right next to him.
Oh, epic as in big. Okay, never mind. I'm thinking epic as in tiny little thing.
No, it's a dwarf. You can't do like epic scale dwarves. They're like that. You have to do epic like they're.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Ooh.
He could be a Primarch for your space dwarves.
Yeah. Oh, he could totally be a Photon Primarch.
Make up your own rules for it.
I would just use Ruin Lord rules from Fantasy when I could literally one-shot a Lizardman dinosaur in one shot.
Nice. I quite like the ogres as well. The ogres are quite fun. Grog Arnog. He's fun. He's just deliciously ugly. So yeah, like I said, they've got a lot of stuff. These guys did a fundraiser during the Australian bushfires as well. So they are very much a member of the community and not just a business. I mean, obviously they're a business, but they quite regularly will go out of their way to like give away their profits to help raise for good funds.
they've got a Bucky Barnes.
They do?
If you go into characters, one, two, third row down, third from the left. Colonel Ash Ironside.
Oh, Lord, you're right. Oh, I'm trying to think. It literally is his head, too.
Literally, it's literally him.
That's brilliant. Because there is an Ironside in the Catachan army that has that sort of aesthetic. I mean, the head's completely different, but yeah. Like these guys, they have a lot of stuff here. Like you could spend hours on this website quite easily. So yeah, Victoria Miniatures, victoriaminiatures.com. Like they have a huge range. It's very, very much well worth it. But let's discuss some hobbies, shall we?
Trim, glue, prime, paint.
What have you been up to, George?
I've been up to this.
Nice.
See if I can get my... There we go. I have gotten the box assembled,
Nice.
and I've got them all primed. The wood and leather set from Vallejo that you linked, that showed up. I didn't read it carefully. It's not air. But I looked, and Vallejo said, "Oh yeah, I just put a little bit of our thinner in, and it'll work through an airbrush, no problem." So, yeah, got those. This one right here, this one was a pain to put together.
That's the one I was talking about earlier. The Queen Bee one.
Yeah, it's just the amount of tiny little fidgety bits. Like here, where's one of these guys? Can I manipulate my arm to where you can even see the... Oh,
Maybe.
This is so hard because it's backwards.
A little bit.
Too close to the lens.
Yeah, but
There
I
you
have
go.
to get it. I have to get it close to show off the little like tiny thing that's hanging off his branches. But yeah, it's... So yeah, that's what I've been working on. I'm quite excited to be working on these guys. This is an army I've wanted to build for a very long time, and I took advantage of the Christmas pack. And I finally started putting them together, and like once I started getting one put together, I couldn't stop.
Which is always a good sign.
Yeah. The other thing too is I used some Badger primer in the past, and I finally got my hands on some Vallejo airbrush primer. And I am never going to rattle can again.
Yep.
There's no fume. My little exhaust fan that you can kind of see like right there does more than enough job of keeping it out of my lungs and stuff, and it just goes on so quick, easy, and smooth and flat.
Yep.
So that's
I highly recommend avoiding rattle cans, honestly. With the exception of MDF kits, if you need to paint MDF, you need a rattle can. Because it's just too... I mean, you can do it with an airbrush. It's just so much work. Because it just soaks up too much of it. Socks!
Well,
I know I know you haven't been doing anything Star Wars, but what have you been doing other than visiting the cradle of humanity that is the disgusting parks in your area? Glory, hallelujah.
Black
Blood?
powder. So this
I thought they said blood and plunder.
black powder. It's part of the Warlords Black Powder series. It's Glory Hallelujah, the American Civil War series. I've been looking at getting into that game for 7 years now, and the wife has graciously agreed to let me buy the Gettysburg set for my birthday here in a few months. So
Because it's, two giant armies in one tiny little box.
yeah, over 2,000 figurines. So
That are all
with
like
some
this
terrain-
big.
Yeah, 15 mil. So it's epic scale. So I've been looking at. I'm going to be ordering a few small stuff over the next few weeks. Probably here soon, especially since now that the pledge manager for Company Heroes is opening up in March, and I've backed that. Try and order a few small stuff. So I'll have that coming in. So until then, who knows? I'll be getting 2 game systems this summer because Company Heroes is supposed to be shipped June, July timeframe is what they're hoping to do. So
Nice.
until then, I don't know.
What have I been doing?
Maybe
Gee.
I'll paint some of my Victory at Sea stuff by Warlord Games or Sales of Glory or Black Seas by Warlord Games as well. So get back to those. Anyway, what are you up to, Bruce?
Making a mess.
Well, yeah, you've been tearing apart a bedroom and rearranging it.
In the garage. The garage needs a lot more work. So, when I originally, cause I've completely rearranged my bedroom, basically, at this point. The way things had been set up originally, I custom built the desk that I was using. And it was a very big, over-engineered desk. It was basically a wood bench that I was using for a computer. The way I had designed it was, in theory, because I wanted it to be big enough that I could use it for both hobby and my computer. And I mean, it never really did achieve that. I mean, I could use it for both, but it was kind of a compromise in both areas. And because, I mean, I had designed it to be so large to fit in a certain spot that when I started to realize that I could never move my bedroom around, it was like, yeah, I don't like the way this is laid out. But now I can't do anything about it. So for the last probably 4 or 5 months, I've been trying to figure it, I don't think I even really told you guys that I wanted to do this until I had actually started doing it, because I wasn't really sure how I was going to. There was a question of, do I build my own desk again? I mean, I could have built a new desk very easily, but when I was looking at what it would have cost me to build what I'm now using, I maybe would have saved $10-20 by the time I finished it and everything. And at that point, why am I building it? You don't build things for it to be cheaper, really, because it's not cheaper. It's just that it's your version. It's exactly what you wanted, which is fine. So I bought this desk. I bought an executive style desk, quite deliberately, because the way I've designed it is that it would normally be up against the wall, but when I want to film something, I can put it out the way that I have it now, facing my wardrobe. So I've got, an actual professional looking backdrop, sort of, as opposed to what used to be my bed blurred out. And the reason I paid for that software, and I have been paying for that software for 4 years at this point, because nobody wants to look at my bed.
I don't.
Nobody did. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't get more comments. I did get a few comments early on, but I mean, the problem was that there was nothing I could do about it. There wasn't enough room between my chair and the bed to put a green screen up, so I couldn't hide it. There was literally nothing I can do, and that was part of the problem. There was just no way that I could do anything about it. So, I have a very flexible setup now. It actually makes my room look bigger too, because it's not everything all cramped together trying to fit. It does mean that my desk is significantly smaller than my old one. Painting at this desk is pretty much non-existent now. Which is fine. Basically, the plan from here, at least initially, will be I'm going to go back to painting on the main table again, which pretty much doesn't get used anyway. It's kind of a dumping ground all used for games. I still need to actually build my table, because I do intend to actually build a gaming table. I even bought wood for it. I just never got around to finishing it because I injured myself back in October. So yeah, that's kind of been where most of my time is. I've kind of really only gotten to the point, when you're tidying something up, you have that middle time of where everything is just a mess because it has to be in order to get everything moved. I've kind of only just started getting past that. I mean, there's actually a mess in the corner right now, just because it just got dumped so that I could, have a bedroom and have, a night where I could just be lazy. It's going to be interesting to see how things turn out long term. There's definitely still things I need to do. I'm getting a monitor riser that's going to go onto this desk. My monitors are just sitting on the desk right now. They're not on the arms they used to be on because some genius put his spanners away somewhere safe and now he can't find where they are. And I could go and spend $30 to buy a brand new set of spanners, but I don't want 2 sets of spanners. I already have one. So
For American listeners, he means wrenches.
okay. Wrenches to me are the adjustable ones, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
That's an adjustable wrench.
And to me, a spanner is George, because he is a bit of a spanner.
I was going to say I'm a bit of a tool.
That too. So yeah, hobby-wise, I haven't really done a lot because I've been concentrating on the larger picture rather than the smaller picture. I've done a little bit of work on my game, kind of like little things here and there. Most recent additions have been I've mostly worked out what stats are going to be in the game at this stage. Wounds are still kind of not in the game, and I'm still tossing up whether I want them to be or not. But I've strength is a thing, dodge is a thing, protection is a thing, and max stress is a thing, which is basically how much stress you can take before you're stressed out. And I've kind of penciled in what I want the ranges of those things to be, because it's not just a matter of saying, well, you have strength and you have dexterity. You also have to kind of factor in, well, if you're going to have these stats, what's the range that you want to be able to play with? Because they can't just be infinite, because that's not how a game system works. So from here, it's going to be... I'm kind of starting to reach that point where it's all the boring tweaking stuff now, which is fine. I'm hoping that everything from here goes as smoothly as things have up until now. But there's none of these really big moments of... I've now put this piece in. There's no real big aha moments where I figure out a problem and it's 4 pages of text that happens in one night. A lot of the initial stuff is done now. It's a matter of testing and making sure that it's right. And then if it's not, working out how to fix it, and then maybe I'll have a new aha moment. But I am tested core mechanics. I am preparing to test my new phase, which is the introduction of guns. Third phase will then be introducing the differences in the factions, and I already know what those differences are. I just haven't tested them yet because I want them to be at least somewhat balanced. I would like them to be perfectly balanced, but that's not how games work. There will ultimately be people that will find tweaks that will just ruin things, and that's part of testing and why you test things. Yeah, that's it as far as hobby is concerned. I think it's time to discuss some games.
Talk nerdy to me.
So, we're covering the PHR this
Glorious
episode.
PHR.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. I was going to say, no, we've already discussed the Scourge. That's where all the glory in this game belongs.
No.
Yeah, don't listen to the UHM propaganda. It's all about the Scourge. They are the heroes. That's why they're called the Scourge. So, like our other couple of factions, we're going to start by looking at the starter set. Stocks, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about what comes in the starter set?
Yep, let me get
Otherwise, I have it up and I can if you want.
So, the starter set comes with a Hera Command Walker, if I remember correctly. I'm doing this off of my head. Yeah, go for it, Bruce. I'm doing this off of my head, off of memory.
All right. So, it contains 8 Type 1 Walkers, 8 bases of Immortals, all with Juno APCs. The Type 1 Walker have several weapon options. They can be They can be construction. Yeah, they can be constructed as a mixture of Ares, Menshite, or Phobos, and then you also get a commander in a Proteus mobile command post, which is what you were trying to remember.
Yep.
Which is the really cool looking flying thing here. These are all brought to the table in the incredibly survivable Neptune medium dropships, with these things up the top here. And I'm trying to think what. Oh, the APCs are what the troops come in.
Yep.
So this is essentially 2 of the old starter set, but you get the addition of that really cool looking command outpost as well. So really, like this is all of these starter sets are insane value, and I do mean insane. Everything in them is hard plastic. The only exception to that is the mobile command post, and the only exception to that rule when it comes to the starter set is going to be the resistance, which we're not talking about today. But yeah, 26 multi-part miniatures, 1 resin miniature, and 1 acrylic template, and then you've got your fast play cards and so forth. Absolutely insane value. So, from here, what we've done with everybody else is we've kind of picked 2 things each from the army that we would add to it. Now, that may be because we think it adds something to the army that the starter set doesn't already have. It may be we're adding it because if we just think it looks cool. I can guarantee you at least one of those is coming up, because there's one thing that if you guys don't mention, I'm going to, and it's only because it's cool. Or it could be that there's a couple of really big things that change the game quite significantly. The only thing we do not suggest starting with is the behemoths, because at that point you're playing a different game. You are going to want a behemoth at some point, but I would not recommend buying a behemoth to a beginner, because at that point you're playing a different game. I mean, it's the same, but it's a very different style of gameplay. Save that till later when you have a better idea of how your force works on the table. I'm tempted to go first, just so that I can talk about my thing before one of you do.
Go for it.
Unless somebody else already has.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So I want to talk about Medusa.
Oh, it's not who I thought you were thinking. But okay.
So, Medusa is amazing. She is a hero and somebody that returned to the game somewhat recently. She cost you 100 points. She's a squad size of 1 because she's a person, not a squad type. And basically, she is controlling these tiny little nanobots. The scale of them on the mini is obviously bigger than they should be, but that's because you wouldn't see them otherwise.
If you've seen the Disney movie Big Hero 6, think of that.
Yeah, pretty much. That's actually a really good analogy. I hadn't thought of that. She can move 9.
Movie.
Yeah. She can move 9 inches. Her countermeasures is E+4. Armor is 6. Damage is 10. Infantry type 2+. She has a special dodge 4+. She's rare and she's resilient. She has nanomachine surge. There is no move and fire. The arc is front, side, and rear. Her full range is 9 inches. The counted is 9 inches. She has 10 shots, accuracy of 2+, energy 6. It's a focus 2, reduced 2, and flame. We also have nanomachine tendrils, which has no move and fire. There is no arc. It's close quarters. 10 shots. There's no accuracy, and it's energy 4, reduced 1. Nano Leviathan. This unit may move over scenery pieces up to 8 inches high. White nanomachines. Once per activation, pick one friendly non-behemoth vehicle within 9 inches. That vehicle replenishes 1 point. So, this is a hero that comes on the field. Like, she used to be a command. She's not anymore. She's just a hero now. But she can fulfill a couple... I mean, she can put out some damn good damage. But she's also there to help support your stuff as well. She will help keep things going that are struggling. Given that it's only 1 damage point that she can do per turn, I would be suggesting to use that to help get things before their damage gets too severe. Because if it's doing it just to stop it from being destroyed, it's probably still going next turn. You want it to stop getting down too low to begin with. There's nothing else in the starter fleet that does what she does. The nanobots are something very, very unique to her. Plus, she looks cool.
I have a model. I haven't painted her up yet, but yes.
We're
it's
ashamed
a lot
of you.
fun. I know, I'm sorry. She is a lot of fun to play with on the board. I mean, just zipping around with her nanomachines, healing units, but then with her close quarters weapons, she can tear apart infantry at the same time. So
yeah, she can fulfill a couple of different spots, which is nice. She's something that's flexible enough that you can almost find room for her in any list.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you don't always need to take her, but she can fulfill a lot of different roles. George, do you have anything that you want to talk about first?
Yeah, and this is me coming from this game like with a very simplistic understanding, and not a lot of play experience. I would add a Hades Scorpion.
Yeah, that was on my list.
Just because,
is that what you thought I was going to talk about?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, that's what I thought you might have thought I was going for.
Yeah, and just because with the Hades Scorpion, it gives you that big piece of firepower. I mean, it's the same thing as one of the Shaltari War Striders with that ridiculous I'm gonna shoot anything cannon. It's got the same thing with the white nano machines. Once per activation, pick a friendly non-damaged non-behemoth vehicle within 9 inches and replenish 1 damage point. It can do that same thing. It's got the nano machine swarm. As far as walkers go, it's not slow. It's not fast. It moves 4 inches. I think all the walkers are pretty slow in that aspect too, right? They're not, going too quick. So I mean, for its size, it goes pretty good. It's got decent armor, decent damage. And it's got an infinite range of with a 12 energy attack. That's a good weapon.
Even its counted range is still 36 inches, which is most of the table.
Yeah, like it was a 4x4, so that's 48 inches.
So yeah, 3/4 of the board.
Yeah,
depending on the shooting lanes.
It's to me it just like I said, not knowing a lot about the faction, a lot about the game, to me that just seems like a solid addition. Yeah, it's 165 points, but just looking at it stat wise, that 165 points is going to do a lot of work for you, because then either your opponent's going to focus on that, and you got attention, drawn off your other stuff that you could work with, or you're going to be able to use that and whittle their stuff down pretty quick.
Yeah. You want to get this to a point where you can poke it out, shoot straight down the street, and kill anything in sight, and then still get it away. The thing you're going to struggle with this is that if somebody gets into close range on this thing, it's gone.
Yes.
Because it doesn't have any close quarters at all. But to be fair, if it wasn't like that, this thing would be broken. Thankfully, they didn't make that decision.
Yeah.
The nice thing about this super hit, the rail repeater on the tail, is it's articulated as well. So you can put this thing behind a lower building or some smaller terrain and still be able to pop that tail up and shoot across the terrain because it's articulated with the articulated special rule. So
yeah, and Energy 12 is just brutal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I really like
the big
this.
Shaltari one, like 13, which I think was the biggest one. Yeah, so I mean, it's like right up there as far as, putting a hurting down.
And with Strafe 3, you can actually hit 3 different units, 3 different targets with the Strafe.
Oh,
3.
nice.
You could do one. You'd roll 1 dice at each shot at each unit,
And ignoring the behemoths, I'm going to repeat the same thing about this that I did the last time we spoke about it. This is ignoring the behemoths, in my opinion, the best looking miniature in the game.
This is one of the first-
I was gonna say, yeah, it has wow factor to it.
I love this thing.
when I got
It's
into this
gorgeous.
game, this is one of the first models outside of the starter set that I bought.
Yeah.
For my PC.
Socks, what's your first discussion point?
Mine is the Helios support jet skimmer. And the reason being is if you look at your Phobos AA walker, the Phobos AA walker that you get in the starter set, yes, it's great. It has a move of 3 inches. It has 3 shots and accuracy of 2+, but the range is 24 inches. That's an okay AA weapon. But because of the movement distance, you're not going to get very far into the game. Whereas with the Helios support jet skimmer, yes, you're with the Galaxy, you have a movement of 6, countermeasure of active, plus you have an evasion of +1 because you're a skimmer, so you get a bonus to your countermeasure. You have 13 armor, damage 2, skimmer, 45 points for a squad size of 2. You have 2 different weapon types. That you get the base one is the Aether Hive nanomachines, which is kind of like what Medusa has. So if you don't get Medusa, you kind of can build it with this. It's a front side rear arc, no move and fire. Rate of range full is 18, range counter is 18, shots 5, accuracy 2+, energy 6. Has a focus 2 indirect, so you can shoot this over buildings with scouts, which can be nice. And it is a tech killer, so it can only hit units. It can't destroy buildings or target buildings. But then you have an optional weapon at 10 points apiece, or 10 points. You can get 2 Galaxy missile cruiser launchers. And this is what I use my Helios jet skimmers for. Again, no move and fire, front side rear arc, 36 inches full, 12 inches countered. 3 shots, 3+ accuracy, 6 energy, AA2, and it's penetrative. And so shooting 6 shots, because you're getting 2 weapons, getting 6 shots at AA is really, really good. And for a PHR, with usually slow units, you're going to want a lot of shots coming at AA to shoot down those transports.
And you definitely need an answer for anti-air in this game. Because if you don't, you're really going to struggle.
They have one of the best AA units through this with the jet skimmer. Because if you bring a pair of them, that's 12 shots.
Yep.
That you're shooting. So.
I'm kind of tempted to talk about a couple of things, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the Nemesis Control Scorpion. Some of this is because George took my thunder. No, I'm kidding. No, look, I did want to talk about another one of the command options, and this is it's another one that's really, really fun. And again, it looks gorgeous. It's got the same movement, so it's move 4. It's got active countermeasures, armor 14, damage 8. It's large. It has the Nemesis laser, which has no move and fire. It's either front or side. There's no rear on this one. This is infinite range on both. It's only got 1 shot, but it's got an accuracy of 2+, and it's energy 12 again. It's still articulated, and this has AV Devastator 2 against both vehicles and behemoths. This thing also has light rail guns, which is front and side, left and rear. There's one on each side, basically. Full range is infinite, 24 when it's counted, 1 shot, 2+. So everything is a 2+, but you're only getting 1 shot with each. These are 10 energy. So there's no specific special rules on this particular thing, but if you want something that's a little bit more straightforward and that is just like if you like to have a leader unit that's just there to make big power moves, this is what you're going to want to use. Plus, it looks cool. I like cool looking things.
I will say, if going off of George and Bruce's suggestions, bring a Poseidon heavy dropship, because that is the only dropship in this game that can carry either one of those. And with a 4-inch move, playing on a 4-foot board, you're going to want to bring those in a little bit further onto the board. Yes, you get, especially with the Nemesis, you get infinite. You get a infinite range, but you're going to want these near halfway up
Objective
the board
points.
edge. And objective points, exactly. And most of the objective points are in the middle of the board. And so you're going to want to have these up. And so in order to get them up close enough to be effective in the game, bring a Poseidon Heavy dropship as well. So,
Do you want to talk more about that when we get to yours, or do you already have another one?
I have another one.
Okay. Do you have another one, George?
I do.
Okay, that's fine. What's yours, George?
Again, going off of my lack of knowledge and experience with the game, I think the next thing I would want to bring, just because it seemed to be like the one thing I lacked on the games I've played, I would bring something like the Athena Air Superiority Fighter. Because everything in the game is slow. And everything in the game, it's just, it's a very line of sight game. This helps negate that. It moves quick. It's got lots of shots. It's, decent. Like what we got here, the twin wheel rail repeater. Infinite range, 24 countered, 6 shots on 4-up energy 7. That seems pretty decent. Move of 24 to 48. 24 to 48 on a 4x4 board. Okay. That's good. That's good range.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Socks. That's a minimum of 24?
Minimum 24.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super Cruise, if this unit moves over 30 inches, all of its weapons and enemy weapons targets suffer +1 accuracy modifiers for the round. Not going to be too worried about that. I mean, I can move 24 inches, I don't think I'm going to be worried, moving much more than that. And then you can replace cruise missiles with shooting star missiles for no cost. Let's see, what's the difference there? Instead of a 2-up, it's a 4-up. Instead of 12, it's a 7. Yeah, I'll stick with the cruise missile, which that'll punch a hole in something too.
Basically, it means that you can ignore cover, I believe, is the big difference there, and it's penetrative. Penetrative is quite nice. But with the other one, you can take out the scenery while they're inside of it. So,
or you
both
take
have
out,
places.
their equivalent of a big heavy walker, essentially. So, you could move faster than it can and shoot a hole in it. That's my choice based on my knowledge experience, which is none.
That's fair. Socks, what's your second one?
So I'm going to go with the Odin type heavy walker. And the reason why I'm going to go with the Odin type heavy walker, which has a move value of 2, 65 points, squad 1 to 6, 1 transport value. It has an active armor as well as a passive 5+ countermeasure, 15 armor, 2 damage, walker type. Its base guns are the dual rail guns. No moving fire. You can move and fire with this. Front side range full is infinite. Range countered is 24. 2 shots, 2+ accuracy, 11 energy. And then you have a minigun. Again, no moving fire penalty. Front side 36-inch full, 12-inch countered, 2 shots, 3+ accuracy, 4 energy. But you have 2 optional weapons. And you can replace either of these at no cost. You can replace the dual rail guns with either of these. You can take dual smooth bores. Again, no penalty to your moving fire. Front side arc. Range full is infinite. Range countered is 12 inches. Shots 2. Accuracy of 2+. Energy 10. Devastator 2 for scenery. So if you're wanting to destroy buildings, take this one. This one in version 1 was called the Inyo. And it is very, very good at destroying buildings. Or you can take the Hyperion laser, and this is the one that I take. I take both the Odin dual railguns as well as the Hyperion. And the reason why I do that is, again, you got infinite range on this weapon. Yes, it's a 1-shot, 2+ accuracy, 11 energy, and a destroyer 5+. So you can just tear through heavy units with this thing at full range. And so I would take a couple of these guys and a couple of Neptunes together with the Odins. Or if you're full sent on destroying some buildings, denying those objectives, you bring the dual smooth bores with the Inyo version. So I would recommend bringing those in either 2 to 4 in a couple of Neptunes, or if you have the points, bring a full squad of 6 and put them in a Poseidon.
That makes sense. So very, very, very quickly, I'm going to cover the Poseidon just because you felt it was too important not to mention it. So you're looking at 70 points for a squad size of 1. You can hold up to 6, so you'll need 1 for each of those giant scorpion things because they take up the entire thing.
All 6.
Yep. It does have a stealth missile battery. It's not why you're taking it, but it's helpful. 9-inch move and fire. Arc is the front. 36 inches full. 12 inches counted. 1 shot. Accuracy of 3+. 7 energy and penetrative. Realistically, this is to get your stuff further in on the board. Otherwise, it's just like the gun. That gun is there to help protect it and stop it from being taken out. Before you get to get your stuff on. So yeah, no, I can see why you're recommending that because 4 inches is just not enough. So
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
all right. So Summer Slaughter, Kings of War tournament coming up on the 25th of February. It's taking place at Games Portal in Ringwood. So that's a decent sized tournament. This is being run by the community in Melbourne. It's a very, very strong, very supportive community. They treat their newcomers very, very well, and they design their tournaments quite specifically so that they are just as welcoming to the new crowd as they are to the existing fan base. So that's the one thing that I feel a lot of tournaments do struggle with sometimes is that if you're the new guy, it becomes really clear that you are the new guy. Whereas if you have a tournament that has been designed to help support someone still trying to learn the game, that's just much, much better. It's really hard to pull off too. Arc 40k, this is the 40k event for, well, specifically Melbourne, but Australia really. It's the longest running tournament in the country. So, 25th anniversary, it's on the 4th of March at the Batman Royale in Melbourne. Squidmar is attending. The major sponsor for the event has paid for this. Squidmar being, yes, that's Squidmar from YouTube. He will be attending and he is there as a sponsorship for the actual event. Around the same time, Adepticon from the 22nd to the 26th of March. That's in Schaumburg, Illinois, in the United States. So we should be expecting quite a few things coming out of that event. We should be expecting... There is some stuff dropping for Infinity. There should be some stuff dropping from Bushido. We don't know exactly what it is, but we are expecting something big to be coming at that point. And then we've also got Salute coming up on April 22nd. This is the time of year where we start feeling jealous about the people that live in London because they get to go to this awesome event and we always miss out because we live in the wrong side of the world. That's at the XL Centre in London. It's been being attended there for quite some time and pretty much takes up the entire event from what I understand, or the entire venue from what I understand. But yeah, quite a few decent things upcoming. Last episode, we spoke a little bit about how we were going to be launching a certain something, didn't we, George?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And I am very happy to announce that we now have gettingtabled.com. The reason I'm mentioning this now is because I want to talk about Valhalla Hobby, and without them, this website would not exist. Quite literally.
Yep.
It is literally the reason why he decided that he wanted to sponsor us, because he was like, hey, if I do this, would you be able to actually get a .com? And that was kind of the kick that we needed to finally get there and do that. So we have gettingtabled.com. It is kind of simple at this stage. It will continue to be edited and updated. Up the top here, we have an About Us section that has profiles on everybody, including some lovely images from that time that we definitely got together, and that was definitely not photoshopped. I mean, I know it looks very clearly like it's been photoshopped, but it totally hasn't. We were totally in the same room, hence why the lighting is different on all three of us. So yeah, we got bios for everybody. We have a podcast section where it gives you links to the podcast, and that's where you will be able to find the links for everything that we have spoken about from the latest episode. We have YouTube highlights, which is highlights from our YouTube, and a thing to tell you that you should subscribe. We have a sponsors thing, where we have the Valhalla Hobby website, which we will look at in a second. Also, our Patreon. Support us on Patreon. And finally, we have a contact page. So, Valhalla Hobby. Valhalla Hobby are a small store. They're located in Wisconsin. It's on West Verona Avenue. It's a small store. I mean, they do have your regular stuff. They have your Games Workshop. They have your Dungeons and Dragons. They have your miniatures. But they specifically concentrate on niche games as well. They are a store that specializes in your smaller games. So they have quite a few of our favorites. I mean, Legion is obviously one that we've mentioned today already. Bushido, I mentioned before.
I'm going to jump in and throw something out there real quick while it's still due and on pre-order. We did talk about Shatterpoint. The core set's $165. If you go to Valhalla Hobby and pre-order through him, you can get it through Valhalla Hobby for $132.
Oh, that's damn good. That's a damn good price.
So if you're interested in that, go check out our sponsor. Get it through him. Save yourself a few bucks.
It says 131 here. Oh, 130. You've rounded it up. Never mind.
132.
That's 131.99. Yeah, you're doing what I was doing earlier. So yeah,
I'm sorry. The penny should not exist. The penny is useless.
I know. So yeah, they've got quite a few of our favorites. Bushido, Moonstone. Like if there is a niche hobby that you've been tempted to buy and you haven't found a store, most likely these guys are carrying it. They definitely carry the TT Combat stuff. It is how we made this connection initially because they started listening because we were talking about smaller games and that's their passion for the hobby. So if you're living in the area, definitely go and check them out. They are a small store. They're currently in the middle of renovating to become a larger space. If you are not near them, you can order stuff through the website and it'll get shipped out at a fairly decent price. So support the people that support us. Socks.
Yes.
Would you like to read
find us.
things?
Yes, I can read things. If you want to become a Patreon for us, it's patreon.com/gettingtabled, $2 a month. We appreciate all our Patreons and the support that they provide us each and every single month. Again, like Bruce said, our website is gettingtabled.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/gettingtabled and YouTube at youtube.com/gettingtabled. Please subscribe to us. And then our email is gettingtabled@gmail.com, and Twitter and Instagram is both at gettingtabled.
And if you do join our Patreon, we are running a competition at the moment to win a Shaltari battle fleet. You will win the Shaltari Dreadnought, the Shaltari Starter Fleet, the Cruiser Box, and the Frigates Box. It'll all be sent to one lucky person, and that will be for every month of support you give us between now and the beginning of April this year. You'll receive one entry, and that will be drawn on our recording on April 2nd. You need to live in a country where I can legally post something to you, because if you don't, I can't send it to you. It's something I physically have. And you cannot live in a country where it's illegal to win competitions, because it would be illegal. And it will get taken by your government. So, very, very important. But if that does happen to happen, I don't think we have any Patreons at this stage where that would apply. But if it does, then it'll have to be redrawn. I won't have a choice in the matter, and that would be on the following episode. So hopefully that doesn't become a thing. But yes, please do support us. I hope that it's not the only reason you support us, but yes, please do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.